Yeah, Mad Panic Gaming!
Awesome!
Hello everybody, Jim here. Welcome back to Mad Panic Gaming. Today we got another game hunt for you. I was in the neighborhood of Tachikawa here in Tokyo. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because I go there typically at least once a year. I go there actually to update my immigration status stuff. But while I'm there, I hit a few different places to pick up some games. So that's what I did today. I went to a few different places there, did some game hunting. So I'm going to break this up into a few different videos because I hit actually 3 different places. So today we're going to take a look at the Book Off Super Bazaar they have there, which is excellent. One of the better book offs I've ever been to when it comes to retro games. They had 16-bit, 8-bit, 32-bit, even some modern stuff. It's still a book off. So you can go there and pick up Switch games, PS4, PS5, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, manga and books, actual books at the book off. Imagine that. So we're gonna take a look at what games they had, what kind of prices we were dealing with. Then come back at the end of the video. We're actually gonna take a look at what my best finds of the day are. So come back for that. Also, we're sitting now at about 38,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that, everybody. If it's your first time on the channel, if you like what you see, do me a solid, hit the subscribe button. We're hoping to hit like 40K maybe by the end of the year. I think that's kind of like a reasonable goal to shoot for. And if you really like the video, drop a like as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of all that nonsense. Let's get to the game hunting proper. All right. Look at this lovely overcast day here in Tachikawa, Tokyo. Actually, it got quite a lot sunnier later in the day and quite a lot hotter. I actually found myself later on wishing it was still as overcast as this. Anyway, hey, here we go. Coming up to the Book Off Super Bazaar. Who really cares what the weather is like when you're game hunting in a building with no windows and no natural light, huh? Alright, so let's get started. We got the nice big case here with all kinds of great stuff in it. I hadn't been here, like I said, in a year, so I was looking forward to what they have. First up, a handsome guy there. Oh my goodness. I wonder if he likes video games too. I should give him a call. We got lots of stuff here, lots of box games. We got Zelda, Metal Storm, all good. The original Mother, which is still getting up there. Goemon, nice stuff. A few Famicom disc games, which, I haven't really seen a ton of interest in those lately. We've got some Captain Tsubasa, Bomberman 2, Turtles. Actually, Manhattan Project, my favorite of the 8-bit Turtles, but you can't go wrong with some DuckTales, which, what is that, 10% off, 20% off? That's something I should mention, is that some of this stuff, if there is actually like any damage to it, as you can see, like Rockman 5, Twinbee, Pac-Land, all kinds of cool stuff in there. Really nice looking games, but obviously some of them they're gonna have damage to their box, they're gonna have damage to the manual, whatever. So the labels, in addition to just telling you what's wrong with them, you do get some discounts in here, which is nice. I like seeing that. We got some copies of Bonk 2, we got Magic Knight Rayearth, we got Goemon games out the wazoo, Gradius 3, very nice, Gegege no Kitaro, can't go wrong with any of that. Good old Mortal Kombat. But you don't see the Mortal Kombat Super Famicom games all that often. It's obviously not going to be nearly as common as something like Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat 2, 7,700 yen, so they're not cheap. They're like $50 a pop. But that's boxed, though, and they're in pretty good shape. We got some DBZ Super Butoden, some Choma Kaimura Hyperdimension, multiple copies of Hyperdimension, as a matter of fact. Aladdin, complete for $74.80, which is not cheap. Hyperdimension 13.2, my goodness. And then look at this. There's just a bunch of, somebody dropped off their entire like horde of Sailor Moon games. $38.50 on Sailor Moon R. We've got Sailor Moon S. We got some of the puzzle games. We got the beat 'em ups. We got the fighting game. Yeah, in case you didn't know, there's, what are there, like 7 or 8 different Sailor Moon games on there. And here we go, Cat's Run, 17,000. But you know, it's a pretty cool game if you've never played it. It's and like a Mode 7 racer, but with like little economy cars, K cars, I guess they call them. So that's Cat's Run. You got Chrono Trigger, Battletoads back there, which is pretty uncommon. And then this, I was excited to find. They had 2 copies of Umihara Kawase, which is an awesome game, very fun little platformer, almost like a puzzle platformer, I guess you could say. And I like it a lot. And usually when I see it, it's kind of a rarity to see it these days, but when I do, it's usually listed more expensive than what they had it for here. And they had 2 copies, loose and boxed, but I could see that the boxed copy was 10% off for some mild damage to the manual, so I was thinking about that. Here we got Final Fantasy IV Easy Type, which, okay, color me interested. What the hell is Final Fantasy IV Easy Type? And then Violinist of Hamel, or the Hamel no Violin Hiki. I featured this game on the channel before. Very fun, Japan exclusive, platformer kind of game. It's a little quirky. It's unique, I'll say that much. And it has an English fan translation now. So that's awesome. Darius Force, a few other expensive items in there. And then we've got some more stuff here, including the Salamander Deluxe Pack, some box Game Boy. That's always nice. Even though I myself kind of ignorant on the Game Boy library, but Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, can't argue with that. Early vehicle for George Clooney there. In case you didn't know, Attack of them Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Some Dragon Quest, a little Dragon Quest shrine, if you will, and a little Mario section too, which is nice. You know, actually, I'd like to see that more at game shops like this. We got a Pokemon spot there. That's good. Lots of Pokemon stuff. Divvy up by actual like the property. So make a Mario section, make a Mega Man section. Why not? There's that handsome guy again. Oh my God. What's he doing here? Get out of my video, dude. I'm trying to look at video games. A few Neo Geo games, which again, like AES, less and less common these days. 132X Doom for you. Crows on the Sega Saturn, which is an expensive game, but spoilers, it sucks. Don't waste your money. I don't know why it's like $300. We've got, wow, for 45,000 yen. That's 300 and some odd bucks for a Duo R. Getting up there. But that's pretty cool right there. That's actually a PlayStation controller modeled after the Sega Saturn controller. That'll really come in handy for those PS1 fighters, let me tell you. Because the Saturn, that was the controller for fighting games. Like, it's just epic. We got some Xbox 360 stuff here, including Arkham City for 900 yen. That ain't bad. I know these were just like re-released, but Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, LA Noire, Alan Wake. That's all just like stuff from that era I'm really fond of. $270 for Grand Theft Auto 3. So that's like $2. You can get yourself a GTA 3. So even in Japan, you know, copies of GTA 3 were just flying off the shelves back in the day. And also $270 for San Andreas. Which, San Andreas, the memories I had with that game, making a lowrider and then going like kill gangsters on my turf and whatnot. $480 for Dead or Alive Extreme 2, and I gotta say, as a teenage boy, I was a fan of the DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball games. I'm not sure why exactly. Kind of hard to put my finger on it. I think it was the volleyball. It's just, you don't get a good volleyball game like that every day, and it's just like, I'm a huge fan of beach volleyball. Anyway, moving on. We got some Wii stuff here, which I was never a huge Wii fan. I actually bought one just to play Skyward Sword, and then after that, I couldn't really be bothered. And not a lot of people ask me to find Wii stuff for them anyway, so that's usually one I kind of gloss over. We got some bass fishing. Finally. Can't wait to get me some bass fishing when I get home. Gundam the Battlemaster 2 for $270. And that's a hell of a deal, because if you've never played or heard of it, Battlemaster, kind of like the other, they're not Gundam, what is it, Battle Assault? It's like a different series from those. They're a little more, like, I don't know, true to the series, like the way the mechs control. But they're pretty cool. And for 270 yen, like $2, that's like a deal of deals. So I've got that poking out. I'm going to come back for that. That's kind of like, as I film these, I make mental notes. Making sure like I know what I want to leave with. 900 yen on this Chocobo collection, which isn't bad on that. Usually it's about like, I don't know, 1,500. It's got a few different Chocobo games in it, so that's fun. A lot of this stuff, it's kind of, I don't know, this is all very geared toward the collectors because emulating PS1 is so easy these days. $54.37 for the Fireman 2, which if you never played the Fireman 1, it was a fun game on the Super Famicom, and I think it got an SNES release, but it's fun. You got a couple little firemen, and you put out fires, of course. What did you think you were going to do? A game where you play some firemen, you were going to do what exactly? Play some beach volleyball? No. You're going to put out fires with your two little fireman guys there. They're adorable little firemen. Not like those real firemen who are all like big and scary. No, I say that. I don't know. I was going to say I've never met a fireman, but I actually met a bunch of firemen. They were nice enough. They're not like that fireman from Ren and Stimpy, that's for sure. That guy. You really don't want to get on the wrong side of that guy. We got, what is this? One of the Namco collections? That's cool. Pac-Man, Rally X. It's volume 1, so I'm guessing they had like, I don't know, like 6 of those or something. Namco has a rich history with arcade games, obviously. 10% off at $270, so it's already like dirt cheap. The Rurouni Kenshin RPG, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the Kenshin fighting game, the 3D Fighter, as well. So there are 2 games based on Rurouni Kenshin on the PS1. The RPG is, I guess, fine. I hadn't really played it very much, but the 3D Fighter, unfortunately, sucks. Rurouni Kenshin deserved better. But we get what we get. PS3 games, I'm just going to look at the fighters they got here. Including Aquapaza, pretty cool. Ultra Street Fighter 4, which is not bad. 1500 on King of Fighters 13. I can't remember if it's 12 or 13. Buddy of mine, and we got this one too. Wow, what a game indeed. 2000. Yeah, a friend of mine did the voice of Benimaru and Clark Steele for one of the KOF games. I can't remember which. We got some Guilty Gear. Cross-Erd, however you want to say it, Revelation. They really did get out of control with those Guilty Gear titles. Some Street Fighter Cross Tech and like the Forgotten versus game like that, and Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Those are like the 2 like forgotten Capcom versus games. Like nobody gives a damn about those apparently. And then Injustice, which I recall playing before. What was that other one though? No, I'm thinking about the one with the Marvel, like it was like Marvel something, Rise of the Imperfects. I don't know. For some reason that came to mind. Like when I saw Injustice, that's what I thought of. Fighting Climax, and then there was like J-Stars. A lot of fighting games on the PS3. Most of them pretty inexpensive. Some Dragon Ball Z here. Again, they're like $270, $900 for the second one. Although we're about to get. Persona 4 Arena. That's cool. For 270 yen, can't go wrong. And 100 yen on this Naruto game. I'm not too familiar with those, but 100 yen, that's like 70 cents American. They're practically just giving it to you. Yeah, the new DBZ, Sparking Zero, I think it is right around the corner, which is pretty cool. I was a big fan of the Budokai Tenkaichi games back in the day. We got some action games here. We got the Onimusha games, which are all very inexpensive, all 270 yen. So they'll run you about $2 a piece. Same on Crash. We got Crash 4. Crash. Although after like the PS1 era, I didn't really care about Crash Bandicoot so much anymore. I was growing up getting into the Hitman and the stuff like that. The more, and GTA, of course. Once GTA hit the scene, or GTA 3 anyway, I didn't really have a lot of time for Crash Bandicoot anymore, or Spyro. Even though, like, now as an adult, like, looking back, I love Spyro. I've been replaying the original Spyro again. Ryuga Gotoku, the Yakuza games, again, those are, like, sold like hotcakes. So they're $2 a piece if you find them. So if you are someone who is looking at collecting Japanese games, maybe look in the direction of the PS2. As you can see here, it's like, I mean, there's some games on the PS2 that'll run you a few bucks, but honestly, most of this stuff is literally a few bucks. It's it's very inexpensive. What are you doing, Jim? I think I'm just like browsing. This is great, by the way, isn't it? When the guy just stands there with the camera pointed in like, hey, look at this, a bunch of games. I don't know what I'm doing. What are we doing? Look at the other side of the aisle. There's a ton of stuff here. So what do we got? We got retro games out the wazoo, and we got what we're starting off with. In case you didn't know, that sign says retro game. That's how you know the retro games are there. They had 2 PC Engine games. Both of them were like tile games, like Mahjong, so I didn't give a damn. Puyo Puyo 2 on the Saturn. They had a few Saturn and Dreamcast games and stuff. I feel like that's the things, like, if someone's going to go somewhere like Game Collectors and stuff, what is it? It's like Sega and PC Engine. That's where the hardcore fans always are. We got a few Dreamcast games here, including this little box set, special edition thing of Sakura Wars 2, which, fair enough. I mean, I've played 1 or 2 of the Sakura Wars games. I'm not a big fan, but I do like their puzzle game variants. We've got some Capcom versus SNK 2. It's complete. It's $32.28. So that's a little more, I guess. I don't know what the price on that typically is now. That used to be one of the like cheaper Dreamcast. Well, I guess it still is, like, considering DOA 2 still $10.46, which puts it at like $7 thereabouts. Yeah, Capcom versus SNK. Those are ones that kind of flew off the shelves back in the day. $52.28 on the ever so awesome JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on the Dreamcast. Which there is a variant, the matching service variant, which is much more expensive. And for $10.46, like $7, Psychic Force 2012. Which I've said this before. I've probably said it like many times, but I am a big fan of the Psychic Force series. That's one series I'd love to see make a comeback. At the time, like late 90s, like, wow, a 3D fighting game where you can like fly and throw fireballs at each other. That's cool. King of Fighters 99 Evolution, which is essentially just a special edition of 99, but then we got this bad boy for $15.91, about $10. King of Fighters Dream Match 99, which is essentially a Dreamcast port of KOF 98, which is among my favorites in the series. I know it's a favorite for a lot of people. They had a ton of loose carts, so I'm not going to let this video drag out to be like 5 hours long, so we're going to kind of stick to the box stuff. But we'll have a look at those loose carts, at least a little bit, on the surface anyway. We got some Doraemon for $1100, which when I started teaching especially, I came to realize Doraemon is like an institution. He's like the Snoopy of Japan. It's everywhere. Although Snoopy is also the Snoopy of Japan, because there's not a day goes by I don't see something Peanuts related. $22.28 for some Dr. Mario. And I threw this in here. I love this commercial because the eyes of the little creatures are the boobs of these ladies. And I mean, that's just good costume design. And then Dr. Mario comes and kills them with his pills. So, I mean, really, the advertising in Japan was like on point back in the day. Really don't know what the hell was going on there. I don't know. So I find this stuff and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. This video is getting boring. I'm going to throw some crazy shit in there. Because I feel like that's what people come for, the crazy shit. We got Yoshi no Tamago, which is Yoshi's egg. Also, I think just called Yoshi in North America anyway. Very fun puzzle game. So this and Dr. Mario and Yoshi's Cookie and Tetris and whatever else. One thing you can say for the NES and the Famicom, the puzzle games, they were alright. Famicom, you done good. You done good, boy. That'll do, Famicom. That'll do. What the hell else we got here? I'm rambling. You know, I should really, like, I'm commentating over this. I should really be paying attention. We got Dragon Ball, Captain's Fox. We've got all that typical stuff. All the stuff you expect to see there. They got it. Yu Yu Hakusho 2. Decent 2D fighter. 1,500 yen. Pretty good game by Namco. Of course, I've talked about it before. I've talked about all of these before. That's what are you doing, Jim? Yeah, this is a pretty decent 2D fighter. It's one of the more common games, especially to find it boxed. I feel like just, I don't know, maybe people are endeared to Yu Yu Hakusho. They're like, we don't want to damage that box, because I find it boxed quite a lot. We got the original Yu Yu Hakusho, which I recently featured in an episode of 16-Bit Anime. Plug, hint, hint. Go watch that after this video concludes, though. Don't you dare click away. I will never forgive you. We got some more good box stuff here, including 2,300 for Sailor Moon, Kondowa, Puzzle, Nantoka, something or other. I can't really remember. It's really cool. It's kind of similar. Well, not really similar to Tetris Attack. It's just, you know, click on the color combinations to clear them from the screen. So what it makes it more like, maybe more like Candy Crush. Before there was a Candy Crush, there was this Sailor Moon-esque puzzle game. Because again, like I said, there's like a ton of them, and there's 2 copies here. One was priced, what, 2,300. This one's also 2,300 at 10% off, because they both had some box damage, which always puts me like kind of in a tough spot. Like if there's like some manual damage or something, it's like, okay, I can kind of work with that. But when the box is busted, kind of hard to tolerate that. 1,500 on Yoshi's Island. Which is odd because usually, well, I don't know, this is like one of the less expensive. I always have to keep it in my mind. I'm like, 1,500? That's like $10 for a box. Like, what does a box Yoshi's Island even go for in the US, for example? What is that, like $5,000? So I really have to keep things in perspective here. We got like a shit ton of copies of Super Mario World. Okay, all boxed. Super Mario Collection, aka All Stars, and then 900 yen was originally 8,500 for one of the most fun video games ever devised by man, Super Mario Kart. Even though I can recall playing Super Mario Kart with my older sister and it getting pretty heated. I think some threats were made. Weapons were drawn, not used, but like the threat was there. So, yeah, Super Mario Kart, very fun, obviously. But be careful. Especially if you're playing with your older sister. Or if she's trying to play solo and you keep interrupting her game. She might threaten to, you know, hurt or even, like kill you. So, take it easy. 720, 10% off on Super Donkey Kong. Still, I mean, one of my favorites. Like, I did a top 10... hello, Tenchi Moyo. I did a top 10 Super Nintendo games video not long ago. And as I was making it, I was like, wow, this feels really predictable. Because it's going to be Super Donkey Kong and Mario Kart and stuff like that. 30% off, 2,000 yen for the DBZ, I think Super Saiyajin Densetsu or something like that. One of the DBZ RPGs. And then we got Battle Dodgeball, which is a fun game. It's dodgeball with Gundams and Ultraman and all that stuff. So you can't go wrong with that. That whole like SD series is pretty cool. More loose carts. All right. Okay, Jim. You don't have to do anything. Why do anything? No, as you can see, there are a ton of loose carts. Like they had, I mean, what, maybe like 1,000 to a couple of thousand loose carts. So that's the kind of thing where, as a YouTuber, I gotta think to myself, like, yeah, I'm gonna dig through these, I'm gonna buy some games, but does anyone want to watch this for over an hour? 2,300 on Super Bomberman 3 with 10% off. A lot of these are marked 10% off. But that's the thing, is like games as old as this, they're not always going to be in perfect shape. Like there's going to be damage to something. So yeah, we get 10% off, 20% off. These are the kinds of deals you got to snap up. Because we have a shop here, just being honest. Yes, Jim, that's a copy of Super Bomberman 4. It's very nice. Could you hurry it up, please? Wrap this up. I got a hot date waiting. No, I don't. But I do have some coffee on, and I would like to drink it. So if we could just like wrap this up, Jim. Final Fight 900 for a loose cart. Classic game, of course. And then Sailor Moon R, loose carts, the second beat 'em up, I believe. The one that I think has like the mini moon thing or whatever. Or am I mistaken? I don't know. You tell me. We got some more box stuff here, including this one, pretty cool. Also featured in a recent episode of 16-bit anime. Hint, hint. Crayon Shinchan, which is a fun little game. It's fairly easy. You go around just like collecting cards. So you collect cards, you jump on the heads of like Shinchan's friends. Because even if they're not, they hurt you. I don't know. They couldn't come up with enemies for this game. So it's just like, it's just the other kids, I guess. They kind of hurt you if you collide with them. I suppose that would happen in real life if you went around colliding with your friends. And then the rest of it is a bunch of mini games. So cool. Shinchan, another one, kind of like the Snoopy of Japan. Shinchan just everywhere. 1800 for Garron Densetsu, the Battle of Destiny. Great game, great series of games, and then of course, who could forget this? The ultimate badass. I don't really know what that is. And then they had a handful of consoles here, not much to speak of. We got this Saturn here, 9,091 yen. Yeah, obviously gotta pass on that. We got a white Saturn. That's not really a white Saturn. It's like a mixed race Saturn. I don't know. He's got what? Forget I said that. And some other random stuff. And then this I thought was cool. Let's play. We got 50% off on all these loose carts, and it's a lot of common stuff. It's Mario Golf and like Hey You Pikachu, Kirby there. Although that one's not marked 50% off. So what the hell? But everything in here is super cheap, and then it gets even cheaper when you mark it down. So that's what they had. Anyway, that's a quick look around. I put the camera down and I picked myself up some games. So let's go back to the couch and see what I got. Here we go. Okay, so there you go, everybody. That was the Book Off Super Bazaar there in Tachikawa. Pretty cool. I told you they had quite a lot of games. A lot of good games too, and then some really good prices on like certain things. Some things were like, you know, right where you'd expect them to be. Other things were like super inexpensive. And then they had a whole bin full of just like N64 carts and Super Famicom 50% off, which is pretty cool. They're really trying to get rid of that stuff. But we're going to take a look at what my best finds of the day were today. I got 4 games here I picked out. I think these were the absolute best. I picked up about 15 games just from that book off. First up, though, off the top of the stack, a copy of Gundam the Battle Master 2. Mainly, this is one of my finds of the day just because of how, like, incredibly cheap it was. This was 270 yen, which is like $2 for this, and it's a pretty decent game. It's not the same as Battle Assault. So there's the Gundam Battle Assault games, which I think those were ported to the US, like maybe in the early 2000s. Then there are the Battle Master games, which I think are just made by Bandai. These are also 2D fighters based on Gundam. You get a lot of different Gundams to play with, so that's pretty cool. But it's like the Gundams, the way they move is a little more accurate to how you would like expect a Gundam to move. They don't move all quick and spry like they do in the Battle Assault games, or at least what I remember of Battle Assault. So this one is a bit more, I want to say realistic, because how can you realistically make a Gundam game? But the Gundams function and move more in line with how you would expect a giant mech to move in a 2D fighter. But it's still pretty solid games, pretty fun. I enjoy these. At the very least, they have really nice graphics, lots of different Gundams and stuff. If you're a Gundam fan, this is the kind of game you would probably like to have in a game collection. And again, at 270 yen, like $2, they practically gave it to me. They almost paid me to take it, if you can believe that. Next up, Dreamcast awesomeness here. Got a copy. I love this game, by the way. Psychic Force 2012. And I love this entire series. I think there's only 3 games in this series. This is one I'd love to see come back. Made by Taito. This is the free-flying 3D fighters. All the characters have cool like elemental powers. So you've got a lightning guy, there's fire, one guy controls time, another is like light and sound. So each of the characters are cool. They have their own gimmick. They have cool, unique designs and unique powers. And then it's a 3D fighter where you fly around. You're trapped in like a big cube, which makes sense. You can't make these huge infinite arenas to fight in, I guess. So you fight in this big giant cube and you try to blast each other with fireballs and all kinds of other stuff. So it's a lot of fun. These games are, or this game in particular has some pretty decent visuals, I would say. But the soundtracks for the Psychic Force games are always a highlight. I believe all of them are made by Zentada, and they just like crushed it every time. This one, the only thing disappointing about this though, it doesn't have like a cool anime intro like the first 2 games do. But other than that, everything about this game is awesome. So I like it a lot. Psychic Force 2012, and this was I think 1,000 yen or 1,070. So pick this up today for like $7 US with exchange rate. So that's a really good deal on that. Speaking of Dreamcast, got a copy of the King of Fighters Dream Match 99. And if you're not familiar with it, this is essentially King of Fighters 98 on your Dreamcast. And so who can argue with that? So if you like King of Fighters 98, that's pretty much what this is. Except it has, I guess, compatibility with the King of Fighters R2 on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I don't know how that works. I've never connected my Neo Geo Pocket Color to my Dreamcast, but that's pretty cool. But this is a great game. Maybe like 98, 2002, the Dream Match games are really fun. I also like, KOF 11 is great. And the more modern KOFs have been pretty good thus far. But yeah, huge roster of characters, really solid gameplay, a variety of gameplay modes, and then I think it had some kind of online support. Not 100% sure, but anyway, yeah, King of Fighters, Dream Match 99, fantastic game, you can't argue with that. And this, I want to say, conversion rate, this was like $10 to pick this up, so that's like a hell of a deal. $10 on this, I'll take that every day, because I don't even want to think about what the US versions cost these days. All right, last but not least, certainly not least, great game. This was a kind of a heavy hitter though. Picked up a copy of Umihara Kawase on the Super Famicom. This game is awesome, fun little platformer where you play as the title character, Umihara Kawase. She has her fishing line, and so you attach it to surfaces to like swing around and pull yourself up, and you catch fish. And you put them in your backpack, and then you find your way to the end of the stage. Each stage is like a fun little platforming maze to navigate your way through. So this game is a lot of fun. You could call it charming, I guess, if you wanted to. But some, nice enough visuals, nice soundtrack, leisurely. Like the soundtrack is really groovy. This is, I've heard people say that some games are comfy. I guess you could say this is kind of like a comfy game. But it is a lot of fun. It is a more uncommon Super Famicom game these days, especially to find it boxed. So I was very happy with that, but this is a great game. There's like sequels on the PS1. There's a sequel on the Switch right now, and probably on the PS4 called Umihara Kawase Fresh. which is really good. But I was just like super happy to find this today. They had a loose cart, which was like a little ratty, and then they had this one as well. This was, I believe it was marked at like 15,000 yen with 10% off because it said that there was damage to the manual. So I actually looked in here. The cartridge is in like perfect condition. It's immaculate. The manual, the cover of the manual has some damage to it, but actually the interior of the manual is like, you know, really good shape. And then the box is in really nice shape too. Nice and whitey whites, not too beat up. So with conversion rate, this was about $100, which is not cheap, mind you, for a game. Usually I try not to go up to like that level, like pay that much, but when someone's paying me and saying, hey, send me the good stuff, send me the premium games, I was willing to go ahead and take the hit on this, because I mean, when you see a game like this that, I mean, I spent $100 on it. I don't know, you look online, this is probably close to like 200, 250, if not more. You know, if you go on eBay, you look on there, a lot of people on there sell for like 100% profit, 200% profit or something. Pretty outrageous stuff. So when you see something like this where it's marked at a kind of a reasonable price and then it's down, you know, 10% over some like minor damage, you gotta go for it, man. So that's what I did today. I picked up Umihara Kawase on the Super Famicom. Great game. And that's my finds of the day today. My the games that I picked up that I think were the best bang for my buck. So down in the comments, you can let me know what you think of any of the games you saw in this video today. What would you have picked up? And have you made any great pickups recently? I'd love to know. Always happy to hear from you. And with that, I think that's enough. Getting a little hoarse here, throat getting dry. Went, did all the game hunting stuff, came back, unloaded everything. You know, old Jim's a little bit tired, getting too old for this shit. Anyway, yeah, comments down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And come back next Saturday. We're going to have another game hunt for you. And until then, everybody take care, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Down. Mad Panic Gaming. Let's go. Right. Yeah, strong. Let me show you something. But remember. Oh, yes, I remember that.
Hello, everybody. Jim here. Welcome back to Mad Panic Gaming. Welcome back for another game hunt right here in the beautiful city of Tokyo. Actually, didn't have to go too far from my own apartment today. I was in the neighborhood of Ogikubo, went to a brand new game shop called Wai Wai Station. And it was pretty cool. Kind of a tiny little shop. Reminded me of an old shop in Akiba called Friends, which is no longer open anymore, unfortunately. This shop was similar to that. It was small, but they had a lot of really great games. A lot of stuff in like really great condition too. I was actually very impressed by just how nice everything was. So it was great. Had a great game hunt. Picked up some cool games. So at the end of the video, you get to see what my finds of the day were. Also today, I was joined by my regular sidekick, Destiny. If anyone's been watching this channel for a long time, you know, anytime she's in Tokyo, we'll always make time to hang out together and go get into some shenanigans. But we will always fit in a couple of game hunts. So she was with me today looking for some games of her own, so it's always nice to have her tagging along. So yeah, we went to Wai Wai Station in Ogikubo. We dug through a whole bunch of games and we found some pretty cool ones. So that's what's coming up next. So everybody enjoy this game hunt, and then we'll be back at the end of the video to check out my finds of the day. Check this out.
But for me, it was Tuesday.
All right, so hey everybody, in Ogikubo right now, just down the street from my own place, about to go for some games, and look who I got with me. Hey, it's my little sidekick Destiny's here today. We picked the perfect day to go game hunt, didn't we?
Oh, obviously, the weather's perfect.
Isn't that nice?
Lots of sunshine.
So
clearly.
it's gonna be raining all day, but we don't give a damn. Rain or shine, we're gonna go get these games.
Time is limited.
So they got a shop. It just opened up in this neighborhood, maybe earlier this year. I still haven't been there yet. So you and me, it's gonna be our maiden voyage.
First time for the both of us.
On this day, yeah, exactly, right? So let's I don't know. I got nothing to say today. Let's just go.
Let's go.
Let's go get these games. Come on. So we found the building. You wouldn't know it to know that there was a game shop inside unless you were checking Google Maps like we are. This is the Hakuo building. Hakuo building. Keep that in mind, Destiny. Remember that. Hakuo building.
Hakuo.
4th floor. I'm hoping there's actually a game shop in here. We're not walking into a trap.
Just walking. They're like,
All right.
Oh, sorry.
This is not a place of business. All right. Well, let's get in there. Let's get to the 4th floor. Let's see what we got.
Let's do it.
Japan, 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 Japan. Round 1. Fight, fight, fight.
Destiny, what do we got here?
Couple of games.
Surprisingly, we walked into a game store, which is what we were looking for. But honestly, I was a little skeptical at first, just like looking at the outside of the building.
Yeah.
But this is nice. Like, it looks nice. Everything looks clean. It's super organized. Looks like they have...
For a few things.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some browsing, some perusing. But it looks pretty cool. It reminds me of Friends. Back in Akiba, actually, with the old grandma. May she enjoy her retirement. We got all kinds of cool stuff in here. So what do you say? You want to dig around? Maybe buy some games?
Let's do it. We're gonna
Let's
dig
do her.
around and
Hey, like,
see what we can find.
let's test
Hopefully
this.
some good stuff. Let's do this.
Let's get games. All right. Let's get today's exchange rate up there. That's nice. Very generous right now. You'll notice on the front of all these little plastic bins here, it actually says the genre. So this is action game, it says. The yellow one next to it, those say role-playing game. And look at the back of that cartridge. This was something that really floored me about this place. All these cartridges were just super clean. We got Valis right here, Super Valis 2400. Some Final Fight 1500, and again super clean Final Fight 2 behind it. And some of these will have little stickers on them, little green stickers that say those games are recommended by the staff. So they're like the staff picks, which is pretty cool. Rockman 7 1100, again super clean. So yeah, all of these loose cartridges were just like in immaculate condition. Which was very surprising because typically, like any game shop I go to, whether it's a hard off or even if it's like Super Potato or something like that, Sudagaya, usually the loose carts, you're going to find a lot of them that are pretty yellowed, not in the best condition. 2600 on Contra Spirits, and again, it looks amazing. 2000 on Akumajo Dracula, aka Super Castlevania 4, Lady Stalker, King of the Monsters, Bonk 2, which is awesome. That's 1,000 yen. So that's under $7 for a loose Bonk 2. So that's pretty damn good. We got some more action here. We got some shooters by Konami. 2,600 on Parodius, 13 on Twinbee, and 15 on Darius Twin. And you know I like that a lot. Just recently picked up a complete unboxed copy of Darius Twin. For like 4,000 yen, so 1,500 on a loose copy. Not too bad. And then this says just Mario and Nintendo, like first party stuff. So there you go. All your first-party Nintendo games all grouped together. 400 yen on some Super Mario Karts. You got Super Mario World's Fire Emblem for 950. We've got some Donkey Kongs, all that. So that's great. Then here, I think we have just like straight up anime-based stuff. So 1600 on that Sailor Moon, which is not too bad. Sailor Moon games getting up there. Some Ranma 1/2, which the new Ranma 1/2 series just started airing, and I haven't seen it. Because I'm sorry to say, I kind of lost my my love for modern anime recently. Panel Depon, 950. That's a staff pick. So at 950, that ain't bad. That's like, I don't know, what, $6, something like that. Pretty good deal. And we got some sports games, including Super Dodgeball with Kunio and his buddies. And this, I thought was really nice. We got some like wrestling and sports games here, but 950 on a copy of Muscle Bomber, aka Saturday Night Slam Masters. And some N64 down there, which I'm not too keen on. And then we've got some Sweet Home on the TV, which if you never played Sweet Home, you're missing out. You got to check it out. No, we've got some PC Engine here. Not a lot. They had some cool stuff, including it was 1800 on Ys 1 and 2 on the PC Engine CD, but marked at 200 yen off for some disc damage, which I was told was pretty minor, but they're all about integrity at Wai Wai Station, so that's really cool. Record of Lodoss War, that one's 400 yen off of 4,800 yen for Record of Lodoss War 2, which I have not played. And then we have some PS1 games, but it was honestly all pretty standard stuff. We've got Tekken 3, Monster Rancher. We've got a complete Biohazard 2, looking in like really great shape. Spine card and all. 700 yen on that, so that's like $4 for a complete Biohazard 2, and that ain't bad. Legend of Dragoon, old classic, 600 yen. If you like RPGs and you're a game collector, I'm telling you, just learn to read some Japanese. We've got Legend of Mana, we've got Chrono Cross, we've got all this stuff here. I mean, 500 yen on Chrono Cross, that's like $3. Legend of Mana, one of my all-time favorites, 600 yen. So again, that's like in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 350 or something like that. That's very generous there. And 850 on Biohazard 3 Last Escape. So a lot of this common stuff on the PS1 is going to be super cheap. Director's Cut, 2,800 yen, but 400 yen off, bringing it down to 2,400, which is like $16, which ain't bad at all. And then we got some boxed Super Famicom stuff. And again, it wasn't like being blown away by the selection, but they had some choice games here. For example, 3,500. Everything in B grade, as they and I'll take their word for it. But yeah, 3,500 on a complete ActRaiser that is in pretty good condition. That ain't bad. They had Ultima 6 there. We've got some Momotaro. We've got Mario RPG, Mario All-Stars, all kinds of stuff. Even some Street Fighter, some Crayon Shin-Chan, some boxed N64 games, including Mario Tennis 64, 800 yen. And, you know, I'm usually not a sports game guy, but for some reason, any sport that Mario characters play, suddenly I'm all about it. I wish they would make another Mario baseball game, because that one was like one of my favorites. And okay, we got a glass case here. We got a lot of Famicom games, so just, you know, peruse, look it over. We got all kinds of stuff. We got Layla, we got Athena, we've got Bonk, we've got some Super Famicom stuff here, including more Sailor Moon, Super Chinese, Space Ace, which is interesting. I never see Space Ace, so that's cool. We got Axlay, Super Alesta, Tiny Toons, so much cool stuff. I always ask at the end of the video, like, of all the stuff you see in these videos, like, if you could take one game away from here. They've got some Asuka, they've got Sweet Home, Power Instinct. If you could walk out of here with one game, free of charge, what would it be? And they got some merch up here too, which is pretty cool. T-shirts and keychains and things, and then a whole bunch of loose GBA games. Here, apparently, just the Kunio-kun section. So if you like Kunio-kun, they put them all right there together for you. Some downtown Neketsu and some other various things. This is how I usually find GBA games, unfortunately, because GBA was like all cardboard packaging, so that stuff gets bent and broken and thrown away. And we've got plenty of Game Boy Color and even some original Game Boy stuff, which I don't get too many requests for, but I do send some of that stuff out every so often. Hoshino Kirby 5500 complete. That's kind of right in the line. That Joy Mech fight. The original Gradius 2600. It says D, C, and B as far as grade goes. They're talking about the condition of the box, the manual, and the cartridge itself. Honestly, nothing in here that was boxed looked like all that bad. Even stuff they rated as D didn't look too terribly bad. So, you know, some of the boxes had like a little bit of damage to them and stuff. But what I can say is like the loose carts were pretty much immaculate. We've got a little bit of Saturn here. I feel like they need some trade-ins in here. We need to get them some more stuff. But we've got Lunar. Actually, that's Maho Gakuen Lunar, which is like a Japan-exclusive Lunar side story game. Puyo Puyo Sun 700. Again, that's another one that's pretty much like always affordable. It's Puyo Puyo 2. We got some other cool stuff here, including Daytona. 200 yen off. So making this a 300 yen game. Just like, what, $2 in that ballpark? So that's incredibly cheap. That's a very generous price there. We have more. So we got this nice wall of Famicom games. I'm not going to dig through everything right here and now, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like more their like junky section, because they did have junk as well. And then just all the Dragon Quests in one convenient location. And they got some Joy Mech Fight on the TV, in case you want to play or watch some Joy Mech Fight. There you go. And then I did like, you know, it was, you know, a decorative place. Lots of little figures and things like that. Statues and stuff to take a look at. And then just like way more loose Famicom games. Which I could have been in here for a long time. Oh, Ninja Ryukenden 1500. And look at that. Look how clean that is. The white cartridges are usually never that white, so that's really cool. Some Golgo 13 for you. Can't argue with that. 1600. So yeah, this isn't going to be like in-depth into the shop or anything. I just kind of wanted to have like a general look around. City Connection. Another staff pick. Old school, you know, City Connection. That's a fun game. Classic Jalico arcade. And then Urusei Yasura. 400 yen, which is a fun little game, actually. Very simple. I think I featured this game on the channel like 8 years ago or something. I think it's called Lum's Wedding Bells or something. It's a pretty fun little game. We got some Adventure Island. That's always good. Actually, multiple Adventure Island games. Fazanadu. And then a whole bunch of Kunio-kun games. So we've got Downtown Neketsu, we've got Renegade, we've got Super Dodgeball. They got it all, folks. And then even more copies of Joy Mech Fight, and then some Rockman. 1100 on 3, 900 on 5. That's really nice, actually. Rockman 5, typically, like any of the Rockmans, are going to be like a little more expensive, regardless if they're loose or not. So like 950 on a Rockman 5. Ain't bad. 1100 on 1942, but man, look at the condition of it. Again, I don't want to like harp on it, but like it's shocking how like good the condition of some of this stuff is. So the prices are kind of like middle of the road, but the condition was excellent, so I really didn't mind. And then some manga and stuff sitting here to take a look at, and some old gaming magazines as well. And then some Gachapon, just in case you want that, and a little woman in the corner digging through junk bins. But yeah, that's Wai Wai Station. Let's wrap this thing up. What do you say? Let's get the hell out of here. Pretty cool place, though. All right, so Destiny, what did you think of Wai Wai?
It was nice.
It
the
was
games were very well, it's nice because we're still in here.
Yeah.
The games are very clean.
Super
the
clean.
prices are super reasonable.
Yeah. Good
all
prices.
Of this for like less than
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah, you got that all that for like 40 bucks. I got myself some games here, including some complete Super
He gave me some
Famicom.
free candy.
And yeah, he gives you a free Umaibo with every purchase. What a sweetheart. And he was nice enough to let us film here too.
Yes.
Very nice man. So this store, obviously it's pretty small. Not gonna be like the biggest selection in the world, but everything in here is like super clean.
The cleanest
You'll be
I've
happy to
seen
take
here.
it home with you. The stickers on the front showing the condition are very like up forward and upfront and honest. And prices ain't bad. So I like this place. I will be back. I'll be back. You won't be back because you gotta go home, but
Yeah, I mean, eventually.
I'll be back. Anyway, I'm gonna go and show off some of my best finds from today, and then you are gonna disappear from the video, but you'll probably pop up in another one at some point. So say goodnight, Destiny.
Good night, Destiny.
All right, there you go. Wai Wai Station in Ogikubo. Pretty cool little shop. Again, I was very impressed that it's small. It's a little cash-only shop, but pretty much everything in there, unless it was in one of the junk bins, was just like in really like amazing condition. Especially like a lot of the hard offs I go to, book offs, things like that. The Sudagayas. A lot of the loose carts are usually not in like the best condition. You'll get like a lot of faded ones, or they'll be yellowed or something like that. Didn't really notice much of that at all at Wai Wai Station. So their stuff is in like top-notch condition, so I appreciated that. And I have some finds of the day here. I picked up some pretty cool stuff today. First and foremost though, Umaibo. Yeah, the clerk at the store was giving us Umaibo with our purchases, so that's cool. If you never had an Umaibo, they're like a really big Cheeto puff, and they come in like a bunch of different flavors. So that was nice. Nice guy working there. If you ever pop into Wai Wai Station, you buy a few games, you're gonna get a little snack too, so that's cool. First, off the top of the stack, picked up a copy, loose cart of Sailor Moon R on the Super Famicom. Sailor Moon R. No pirates in this one. That's a bad joke, I'm sorry. Sailor Moon R, straight up side-scrolling beat 'em up. A lot of fun, 2 players, you get all 5 Sailor Scouts, and you even get the little, I think in Japanese it's Chibi-Usa, and it was Sailor Mini Moon in English. You can play as her as well. I think there's even like her own dedicated gameplay mode, which was always fascinating. I mean, the Sailor Scouts, they're teenage girls, you know, running around, beating the hell out of the forces of evil. But then I don't know how old she is, what, like 10 years old? And then they give her some magic wands and stuff, and suddenly she's beating the shit out of evil left and right too. So that's kind of interesting. But this is a pretty good game. Again, beat 'em up, pretty solid. It's not all that different from the previous Sailor Moon beat 'em up on the SNES. Or the Super Famicom, but I think there's some additional gameplay modes, and the graphics and sound are maybe a bit improved. So overall, this is a pretty solid beat 'em up on your Super Famicom. I wouldn't put it in the same league as like Turtles in Time or Final Fight 3 or something, but as just like a sit down, pick up and play, have some fun with a beat 'em up, especially if, you know, you don't have to be ashamed if you're a Sailor Moon fan out there. Yeah, this is a pretty damn good time. Even if you're not a Sailor Moon fan, if you just like a beat 'em up and you never tried any of these before, they are not bad. So yeah, Sailor Moon R, Super Famicom, and this ran me 1,800 yen. Which is not too bad considering that this is a more elusive game these days, or at least it's starting to become a little more elusive. A lot of the big name anime property games are getting like a little up there in price these days. So like the Dragon Ball Z's, the Sailor Moons, the Go-Go Akumans, those are getting crazy after Akira Toriyama passed away. Rest in peace, good sir. Next up though, awesome game. We got Muscle Bomber, which you might know better as Saturday Night Slam Masters. This game is awesome. It is a Capcom wrestling / fighting game. The second game is more like just a straight up 2D fighter, but that one never left arcades. This one is more so a wrestling game than that one was, but still plays a lot like a one-on-one fighter. But you can like move all around the ring and stuff on the X and Y and Z axis, I guess. Cool cast of characters, very Street Fighter-y. They all have different kinds of like stereotypes and things applied to them. Some of them are modeled after real life wrestlers. Like one of the characters in here is like the spitting image of Big Van Vader from back in the day. So that's cool. And you get Mike Hager. Mayor Mike Hager comes out of retirement back into wrestling. So you can play as Hager in here and hit some pile drivers and spinning lariats. And then one of the characters, I think, canonically is the brother of Guile. I've never confirmed that, but I've read that, and so I'm just gonna run with that. I think it's Gunlock. He's like Guile's brother, supposedly. They have a similar look, and I think Gunlock even does the flash kick. So if that's true, that's pretty cool. But anyway, this game is pretty fun. I like it a lot. Muscle Bomber, aka Saturday Night Slam Masters. This was only 950 yen, which is nice. That's a nice price. Anytime I can pick up a game, even if it's like a loose cart and it's in the neighborhood of like $6, $5, something like that, I'm typically gonna be pretty happy with that. Next up, got a little bit of PC Engine action for you. Picked up a copy of Ys 1 and 2 on the PC Engine CD. And this game is just classic. I actually had no interest in the Ys series until I had seen it on the Happy Console Gamer channel. And then I started collecting PC Engine games myself once I eventually moved to Japan. And the Ys games were some of the first ones I picked up, and yeah, they're really good. This one combines obviously the first two Ys games into a single story because they have a connected story anyway, and it's on disc, so you can make a bigger game, obviously. It's got some cool cutscenes, really great music, and the bump mechanic of the combat. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm in the love it camp. Any game that takes like the thought out of, you don't have to press any buttons, just run into the enemy. Just run into them like you're Goldberg. Just plow right into them. So that's fine for me, but it's a fun game. Not a terribly long game either. I've actually never played the English version though, which is odd. Every Ys game I've ever played has been the Japanese version. Again, like I said, I didn't really have any interest in the series until I'd already been living in Japan. And here the games are like readily available. If you go to any shop that has some PC Engine games in it, chances are they're going to have Ys 1 and 2 and 3, maybe even 4, and so on and so forth. The most recent one I played, I think, was Ys 8, and really enjoyed that. And now there's 9 and 10. So, oh my god, keeping up with this series is a pain in the arse. But it's a great game, and I like it a lot. So yeah, Ys 1 and 2 on the PC Engine CD, and it was 200 yen off. It says there's a little bit of disc damage, which I haven't opened this up yet, but he seemed like an honest guy, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to be too extensive. So 200 yen off, so this was 1,600 yen, which that ain't bad. You can still pick up PC Engine games for about 10 bucks. I'm not going to complain about that. No sir, not me. And last but not least, this, I think, my best find of the day. Got a complete copy of ActRaiser on the Super Famicom, which admittedly I am more a fan of ActRaiser 2. I like just the straightforward side-scrolling action of it. And you got wings, you can fly around and stab things and use cool magic. But this one is fun too because it, if you've never played it before, it blends side-scrolling action with kind of like a god simulator, where you're helping people like build their little towns and communities. You're fighting off demons and things. You've got your little angel. He's like a little cherub kind of character. You fly around, you kill demons and monsters and things, and you basically look out for the people of the world, guard them from all the forces of evil, because yeah, essentially in this game you're God, which is kind of cool. You move all around the world map, you fight for your people, and then you can create like little rainstorms and other various weather effects to do either to help your people out, usually like help them grow crops and things like that, or move things out of the way so they can keep expanding their society. So that's pretty cool. And then when you get to the side-scrolling action, that's what it is. You run to the right, you slash things with your sword, you use magic attacks, you get to a boss, you kill the boss. Just good old-fashioned hacking and slashing, running and jumping fun. And then on top of that, the graphics are really nice, and the music is fantastic. This is a game by Enix. Enix was crushing it back in the day, making one great game after the other. And again, even though I do prefer the second game, I think the gameplay is just more straightforward and fun, and the graphics are better, and I think the music, I don't know, it's on par. Both of these games have some epic music in them, I'll say that much. The original ActRaiser is still an amazing game, though. If you've never played it before, you're really missing out, because this is one worth going back to. So yeah, there you go, complete ActRaiser. The sticker on the front says that everything, so the box, manual, cartridge, everything is in B grade condition. And just looking at the box, yeah, pretty nice. There's a little wear and tear on it, but nothing too significant, so I'd be willing to bet the cartridge and manual look really good too. And so got this baby for 3,500 yen today. And for a complete, really good condition copy of a game like this, I think that ain't bad. I don't want to know what a complete copy of ActRaiser on the SNES costs in North America, I'll put it to you that way. So Super Famicom, still the way to go. But there you go, those are my finds of the day. And Wai Wai Station, if you're ever in Tokyo and you're going on kind of like a retro game hunting, you know, you're doing the rounds, you're getting a little burnt out on like Akihabara or something. Ogikubo, not really too far away from Akihabara. Actually, you can travel, it's like maybe a 20-minute train ride. Ogikubo, just 10 minutes west of Shinjuku for reference. So down in the description, I'll actually put the Google Map link to Wai Wai Station, because it actually was a little tricky to find. As you saw in the video, the exterior didn't really have like any markings to suggest to you that there's a game store in there. Also, they do cool things. They have like little gaming competitions and stuff in there sometimes, which is cool. So I definitely want to attend one of those in the future. They do high score challenges and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool shop, nice guy working there. Prices weren't too bad. The condition of everything in the shop was really nice. And it's a cash only place, so if you're gonna pop in there, make sure you have some cash on you and pick up some games and say hello to the nice man behind the counter. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to Destiny for hanging out today, keeping me company on my game hunting trip. And let me know down in the comments of all the games you saw in this video, what would be the one that you'd want to pick up the most. I'd certainly like to hear from you. And until next time, thanks for watching, everybody, and take care. Goodbye.
Mad Panic Gaming! Crazy!
What's up, everybody? Jim here. Welcome back for another epic game hunt. Today, once again, in the neighborhood of Akihabara, and we are taking a look at nothing but PS2 games today. It's going to be shoot 'em ups, beat 'em ups, platformers, even the odd RPG here and there. So I hope you're ready, because that's what's coming up next. All right, getting started. First up with Trader, and as you can see, that a lot of PS2 games to take a look at. 3 walls full of games, actually, so plenty to check out. Starting with, for $29.80, Ikito-sen Shining Dragon, which is a fairly standard 3D beat-em-up. It's based on the anime series, which I think came out in the mid-2000s. I remember it being one of the final anime I watched sort of in my like mid-late teens, right before I kind of started to lose interest in anime. Just kind of your standard, a bunch of high school girls beat each other up, you know, with their martial arts skills. So I guess it made good fodder for a beat-em-up. Gonna be taking a look at a lot of beat-em-ups today, actually, oddly enough. This game right here, though, Initial D Special Stage for $14.80, so still very affordable. I do love the Initial D games. Probably my favorite Sega racing games, actually. Daytona is awesome, Sega Rally, all that good stuff. But what can I say? I loved me some Initial D back in my teen years, going to Aladdin's Castle at the mall, having our Initial D cards, and racing against our friends. That was always a good fun. We got some what is that, Growlancer? I have no idea what the hell. And something else, which I'm also not familiar with. Global Folktale? What the hell is that? But this Gregory Horror Show Soul Collector, which I think this got an English release. It's a weird little Capcom. It looks cutesy, but it actually is a fairly creepy sort of little like survival horror game. Interesting stuff. This though, Grim Grimoire by Vanillaware, I believe. One of their, I think this just got re-released actually, but a pretty cool like real-time strategy game. I was a bigger fan of like Odin Sphere and their action games, you know. But Grim Grimoire is pretty cool. There was a time in my life where I did like RTS games. In particular, I enjoyed Warcraft 2 back in the day. But Grim Grimoire, pretty cool game. If you like RTSs, I would recommend checking it out. And for $53.80, so it's going up in price recently, Gradius 5, published by Konami, but actually developed by Treasure, which is cool because Treasure was initially formed by former Konami developers. So here they are, working in tandem, making a very good shoot 'em up, but also a fairly tough shoot 'em up, which Gradius games are usually tough, and usually I'm not the biggest fan of Treasure shooters. I don't really like Radiant Silvergun or Ikaruga. But they did a really good job with Gradius, so I was happy with that. Here we just have a whole bunch of the Neo Geo King of Fighters. Some of them individual games, some of them collections. They're pretty cool. Gradius 3 and 4, very cool. 3 being my favorite, more 5. Shikigami no Shiro, some other cool stuff. Fatal Frame. Lots and lots of goodies to be found in here. This is a place you can spend a long time if you're building a PS2 collection. We have these Taito Arcade Memories collections. These things are great. They're just filled with lots and lots of arcade games. Taito Memories 2, I believe, is the one with like Rastan Saga 3, which is awesome. The Sega Ages 2500 games, which is kind of ironic. You can see all these like really great games. They have the original versions plus updated versions on there. Ironic that these were initially sold as like budget titles, and then over time some of them became very rare and expensive. Here we have Raito Kuzunoa versus the Army of Darkness, I believe, which is part of the Shin Megami Tensei series. It's kind of divisive, I think, among the fan base for that series. It's more of a straight-up action RPG with some like investigative elements to it. Pretty cool series, a fun game I enjoyed quite a bit. But it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is pretty good. Again, obviously by Atlas. Post all those games. They have a bunch of RPGs in here, so if you want to pick up some PS2 RPGs, they are very inexpensive these days. More of these Neo Geo collections with Fatal Fury and Samurai Spirits. Sunsoft collection, that's very cool. Persona 3, Phantasy Star, Fate, Unlimited Codes, Melty Blood, Actress again, that's $48.80, which is actually pretty cheap for that game. I don't mind telling you. Here we got 11,600 yen, so an expensive one. Nippon Omori something or other. Kind of a, fun, cool, quirky little like sumo, I don't know, like a sumo simulator, I guess. Kind of an expensive game, though, oddly enough. So if you've got an emulator like PCSX or something like that that can just run PS2 games, you want to give it a try. That's usually, like, if you're going to try before you buy, that's something, like, emulators are good for. A lot of people don't appreciate that. Some of these games are a little expensive, but not outrageous. Give it a try before you buy. Why not? 11,800 yen for this ADK collection. Got Aggressors of Dark Combat, Ninja Masters, Twinkle Star Sprites, and a couple others. I think Ninja Commando, which is one of my personal favorite 80K games. Ninja Combat is okay, but Ninja Commando, that's where it's at, baby. I do love me some running and gunning. But replace the guns with ninja stars and fireballs. Hey, Super Potato! What do you know? Back in the potato that is super. And right here, Samurai Spirits collection for $49.28. And it comes with, I believe, 6 different Samurai Spirits games. So that's a lot of bang for your buck. And they're good conversions, too. All of these Neo Geo PS2 collections and conversions, they're all quite good. I think they're all converted directly from the MVS carts and stuff. So that's nice. Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Kind of a fun little oddity in the SNK Neo Geo fighting game world. Take a bunch of characters from all the different Neo Geo fighters and throw them into one game. It's kind of the, I don't know, like the Smash Brothers. It's not a Smash, but it's in that same vein. Take a bunch of different characters from different properties and smash them together with okay results, at least. Spectral versus Generation. This kind of an obscure, unsung PS2 fighter. Good stuff. It's, I don't know, like, to me it's in that same vein. Like, there are a ton of fighting games like this where it's just all about, like, you know, racking up those quick combos and things. I feel like after Guilty Gear, there were just a ton of games in that same vein where it's just all about the combos and the elaborate anime characters and things like that. So it's not a Arc System Works game, but it's in that same vein. I've got some Kinikuma 7128 though. Good God. Fighting Vipers. This pretty cool. The value pack, if it's still a value, I don't know. You tell me. It's got the Street Fighter 2 Anniversary Collection and the Vampire Anniversary Collection as well in a single package. So that's pretty cool. And some Melty Blood Actress again, which is going up in price these days on the PS2. But believe it or not, the Switch Melty Blood game is actually more expensive than even the PS2 version of Actress again. Act Cadenza is still like a very cheap game. You can pick it up for like $10. Actress again is more in the like $60 range. Actually, $54.78 here, so that's much cheaper than I typically see it going for. Super Potato, you're doing all right today. Hey, that's nice. You know, they're not going too crazy on some of these prices. And we got some Dodonpachi Daiojo, $82.28 on this one though. Great game, really good. You know, the PS2 version is solid, but now you can actually pick up the Dodonpachi Daiojo M2 Shot Triggers version. You can pick it up on your PS4, on your Switch. I have the Switch version myself, and it's fantastic. You know, Switch shoot-em-ups tend to get some criticisms for having input delays and stuff. I can attest there's like little or no input delay at all. I mean, has to be some, but I imagine it's like 2 or 3 frames, even on the Switch, so it's a great conversion. So you don't really need the PS2 version anymore. Speaking of, Trigger Heart Excelica on the PS2, which is great. But here I'm actually showing footage, oh my god, dun, 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 from the Switch version. Because, yeah, Trigger Heart Excelica was recently released for the Switch, and it's really good. Like, it's a great game. You know, it was good on the Dreamcast, it's good on the PS2, but you can pick it up on your Switch now, or probably also like your PS4. Pick it up digitally if you want to as well. $76.78 here. The Switch version definitely does not cost that much. We've got some of these Saikyo collections here, $76.78 also for this one, with Sengoku Ace and Sengoku Blade. That's another thing, like the all of these Saikyo shooters have also been released in little collections as well. The Gunbird games, the Sengoku games. We got some Savaria here, some Thunder Force 6. Alrighty. And Strikers 1945 1 and 2. Again, the Strikers games, I think 3 of the 4 of them have all been released on modern consoles in the form of various collections. These Saikyo shooting collections, and they're awesome. Some more of the old Taito arcade memories. 93.28 on this one. So that's in the neighborhood of like, I don't know, $65 or so. But there are a lot of games in these. A lot of really good arcade conversions. You know, I play a lot on MAME and Final Burn Neo. But those are still some decent collections worth picking up if you got a PS2 anyway. $76.28 for this Akumajo Dracula. It's actually the arcade game, aka Haunted Castle, I do believe, which is a fun little game. You wouldn't go playing it before, I don't know, like Castlevania 4, Symphony of the Night. Like, you wouldn't play it before one of the better console Castlevania games, but as just a quick, fun little arcade game, yeah. It ain't bad. I can play some Haunted Castle. again, MAME, Final Burn Neo, something like that. You don't have to spend, you know, $76.28 on it, which is in the neighborhood, like, it's like $50 or so. Then we have Rockman Power Battle Fighters for $4,048. Was actually a good price on that too. So that's nice. But if you've never played these, they are the Mega Man arcade games. I think they've gotten ports recently. There's like a modern version. I think you can get them digitally or as part of some like Mega Man collections or whatever. But they're fun. It's just basically just the boss battles from Mega Man games with some nice visuals, cool music. And who doesn't love them? Some Mega Man, the Blue Bomber. He's blue, he bombs things. Why not? We got all these East games here. For those of you who didn't know, East 3, Wanderers from East, but a bunch of the older East games. I mean, you just saw it. East 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I believe 5 as well. They all got PS2 versions, and as you can see, pretty cool. Got some updated graphics. They didn't really do, like, too much to, like, change the... They didn't change the stories at all. And the gameplay is still very much in keeping with those original games. So 3 was a side-scrolling kind of action platforming RPG. And so is the PS2 version. And it's short. If you've ever played through East 3, you know you can finish it in a few hours. But they're fun. Good stuff. Alright, Super Potato. You're doing okay today. You're not hurting anyone's feelings today, Super Potato. We got a lot more good stuff here. We got some Dinshide Go. We've got, I think, still my favorite Dragon Quest game, Dragon Quest 8, although I do also love DQ11. That one was really good, and Dragon Quest 5 as well. Yeah, so good stuff. Dragon Quest 8, actually one of the few RPGs that I've completed in both English and Japanese. I like it that much. This one, pretty cool game. Actually, I had the English version of this game a long time ago. It's Hajime no Ippo, Victorious Boxers. This is one of those games where when you were at like Funko Land and you had like a little bit of store credit left over after buying the game you really wanted to buy. You had like $10 left, so you just went and found like a $10 game. That was how I originally played this game, and you know, was surprised by it and enjoyed it. It's, you know, whatever, an okay boxing game. But I had never read the manga or seen the anime, and I was just enjoying the story playing through the game. 308 yen, though. That's like, what, $2 maybe? Like, they're practically giving that one away. We got some Persona 3. We got a bunch more stuff. So Super Potato, a modest but pretty well stacked PS2 selection. We're in Surugaya now. And wow, do they have a lot of PS2 games. You could be in here all day long. Starting off, another beat 'em up. Shockingly enough, 5,500 for Cowboy Bebop. Serenade of Remembrance, I believe it is. I reviewed this game like years and years ago. I just had it in my collection. It was like a $10 game back then. For the most part, it's a beat 'em up. You'd have beat 'em up segments with both Spike and Faye and Jet as well. And there are also shooting segments, and then there are also like segments where you pilot your little individual craft. I forget what it's called, but it's a one-seater. But the Cowboy Bebop game on PS2, pretty cool. The one on PS1 is just a straight-up like rail shooter kind of thing. But the one on PS2 mixes it up a little bit. It's pretty good. And I don't know how to play Mahjong, and I don't like visual novels and dating sims. Ultraman too, though. Even though like I like Ultraman, but Ultraman games always suck. Or at least almost always suck. We've got some Shut Your Mouth, because it's Exciting Progress Volume 4. Why did I say Volume 4? It's just Exciting Progress 4. In case you didn't know, that's what they call the SmackDown games over here. 3,100 for SVC Chaos. Fantastic game. Again, kind of Capcom's turn at it. There, you know, you can argue amongst yourselves what's better, the Capcom versus SNK or SVC Chaos. Personally, I like Capcom versus SNK too. I think a lot of people will agree. That's of all of the Capcom versus SNK games, that is the best one. Just a huge roster, plenty of variety in the gameplay. But SVC Chaos, I do like it a lot. It has its fans. Gunslinger Girl 3 for 1,500 yen. And these are just, you know, they're dumb. They're kind of just very basic little third-person shooters where you take little anime girl waifu characters, I guess, and you go around shooting things. Obviously, you can shoot helicopters, you can shoot people, you can shoot anything. I really feel like these, because I know it's an anime series as well. I feel like this had to be inspired by like Leon, like the professional with what's her face, Natalie Portman. Like I feel like it has to be inspired by that, because she intends to kill someone in that movie, but she never actually does. 5,800 for Akira Psycho Ball, which is okay, whatever. I like some video pinball, but this is not making the most of this property. There's so much you could do with Akira, and you turn it into a video pinball game. Kind of crushes my spirits, actually, because I did end up playing the prototype that had been made for the Akira game that was going to be on the Sega Genesis. And it's very basic. There's not much to it, but at least you can see that there's like something there. It could be made into a cool like Road Rash type game with some other cool gameplay stuff thrown in. It could be like Road Rash, it could be beat 'em up segments, it could be shooting segments, it could be all kinds of stuff you could do with it. And they instead made pinball. Another one of the Taito arcade memories. This one, I think, more expensive than it was in the other ones, in the other stores. Over 7,000 yen. But there you go. Again, I sing the virtues. MAME, Final Burn, Neo. They're awesome. This interesting enough game, published by Konami, Tough Dark Fight, for 1,600. Sounds like a name that they would have come up with on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Chuck Heartsteak, Tough Dark Fight. But yeah, it's fairly mediocre. Not so great little 3D fighter. I feel like it had to have been inspired by like Grappler Baki, right? That's been a popular thing for a long time. Actually, a little later, I think we'll see like another game from the same artist, the Garodin games. Yeah, but I feel like Tough Dark Fight is kind of aping off of that. Like, oh, Baki the Grappler's pretty popular right now. Let's do some of that. The Rockman Collection for 26,800 yen. But that's quite the collector's item if you're a Rockman fan. I know plenty of them. But oh man, it's just kind of overwhelming. Look at all these damn games. We got some Fire Pro. We've got a bunch of racing games, shoot 'em ups. 4,500 by Irem, Bumpy Trots. If you're saying, what the hell is Bumpy Trots? It is Steambot Chronicles, which, just like the Hajime no Ippo game, this was a game that I bought secondhand from, it was either Funko Land or it had already been converted into a GameStop at that point. But this is one of those games where I went in to buy something in particular, and then I had like a little left over, and so I was just like looking around, and I had never heard of Steambot Chronicles before, but it was like 10 bucks. So I picked it up and had a lot of fun with it. For the most part, it's a fairly leisurely, fun little game, but then you got your little combat sections. Bleach for 500, one of the Bleach games, I'm not sure which. There's like a bunch of them. There's Blade Battlers and other kinds of things. There's so much Bleach, it'll turn your hair white. Yeah, so again, just if you were looking for PS2 games, if you come into a place like Suragaya, you could be here for quite a long time, because I have a ton of stuff. I got some box sets and things up here. That's all lovely. And some more box sets down here as well. If you want to play some Denshide Go or some fishing games, dance games, this is pretty cool. For 3,400 yen, it is a slime controller, which I've never played with. It looks very uncomfortable. 3,100, Bloody Roar 4. I do enjoy the Bloody Roar series. Bloody Roar 2 is my favorite. That was the first one I played, actually, and to this day, I still really enjoy it. But if it's got Bloody Roar in the title, I'll be happy to play it. And Bloody Roar 4, not bad, by Hudson Soft. So there you go, Hudson Soft. They know their way around a video game. But carry on. What's next, Jim? You tell me. I don't know. Ah, here we are, Retro Game Camp. Which their PS2 selection is the most modest of all the shops in town, but they did have some cool stuff. Starting with this, Garodin Break Blow, which I just mentioned, the same artist as the Grappler Baki series, and it's pretty cool. It's a 3D fighter, but they tried to make it feel like almost more of like an MMA 3D fighter kind of thing. So there's like, and you can like target body parts, and there's kind of like a tug of war thing going on instead of just health bars. But the lower your health bar goes, the easier it is to move the little tug of war bar in your direction, and it's pretty cool. All things considered, it takes some getting used to. It's not your typical 3D fighting game, but once you understand the mechanics, it's pretty fun. And there's a really good sequel as well. Mark of the Wolves on the PS2, very nice. 4480 for the Real Bout collection, which I love me some Real Bout. And then the original Fatal Fury collection, 4980, which is quite a lot considering. Again, I say, I don't want to keep like harping on it, but all of these like arcade collections that have all these various games in them, there are things out there like, I don't know, just recently, especially when it comes to arcade games, because I myself, I don't have arcade stuff at home. I couldn't even fit it in my apartment. So I'm big on MAME and Final Burn Neo these days. 50% off of this copy of Eco, and it's already just like, what, $760? Or $780, so take $780, cut it in half, and that's how much it costs. And that's quite inexpensive. So there you go. It's like, what, 300 and... I don't know, 300... Not 360. I don't know what it is. 880... I'm not a math guy, sorry. 880 for Guilty Gear X. Or, is it X or is it Accent Core? Or Guilty Gear X Slash, and then there's Guilty Gear XX... Accent Core for 1780. There's so many Guilty Gears in the titles, they get a little bit elaborate, don't they? And then we have a copy of, what is it, Jim? It's Kinnikuman. I think Kinnikuman Generations, which was released stateside at least. I think this was called like Ultimate Muscle, or it's something or other, Galactic Wrestling featuring Ultimate Muscle. That's what it's called. And this was another game I did enjoy back in the day. One that I picked up on a whim when I saw it, again, secondhand at, it was either a GameStop or a Funko Land. It was very cheap. It was not exactly a hot seller. But I had fun with it. They're kind of, quirky, weird little, kind of more like a fighting game than a wrestling game. But pretty cool indeed. What else we got? We got Crazy Taxi. I can't go too much on the Crazy Taxi voice. I got to save my voice here. I have more voiceovers to do today. But Crazy Taxi, one of my all-time favorite arcade games. It never gets old. Despite how simple it is, it does not get old. And don't argue with me on that. You know it's true. You love your Crazy Taxi. We got all these King of Fighters games. They're all awesome. There's 2000, 2002, 2003, 2001, 11, etc., etc., etc. And they're all great. But again, they're good conversions, but there are just more ways now to play those games. Here, something really cool: JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind by Capcom. And I remember seeing this in magazines back in the day. It was either PSM or official PlayStation, I can't remember which, but this was initially slated to have an official English release. You can play a translated version now if you pick up the ROM. You can play it on like PCSX and whatever else. It's a fun enough game though. It's pretty cool. It kind of bounces back and forth between gameplay styles, which you have to do because all the characters in JoJo, they all have such different power sets, and you can never have just one uniform game. But then we have the first JoJo game, 980, which this one is actually by Bandai. It's not by Capcom, and it's not as good, mind you. But this one is just more or less just like a straight-up beat-em-up. It kind of reminds me of, there was a Fist of the North Star beat-em-up on the PS1, actually. This feels almost like a follow-up to that. Although I actually do prefer that PS1 Fist of the North Star game, just because I'm more of a fan of Fist of the North Star than JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually seen an episode of the show or read any of the manga, even though I do have friends who are huge JoJo fans. Third Strike for 1180. And that's still nice, fairly inexpensive. That's like an $8 game. So you can't go wrong with that. Third Strike, one of the greatest fighting games ever made. And the Zero Collection, which is great, but all you really need is 03, if you ask me, and then EX3. Which I'm not the biggest fan of the EX games, but the original on the PS1, Street Fighter EX plus Alpha, is my favorite of the bunch. We got some 10 something or other, 10 this, 10 that, some Denshidego, Denshidego 3, which actually know some people that love the Denshidego games, and Tenchu, Fatal Shadows for 680. I have been a huge fan of the Tenchu series for a very long time. And this one was, you know, it's basic. It's basically just like repeating the same old Tenchu formula again after Wrath of Heaven. But that's fine. I didn't really care. I like stories about ninjas that go around and stealthily kill people, and there's bad guys and bad gals, and they have cool ninja powers and stuff. And the Tenchu games, they just always had great graphics and sound design and fun characters and stories. So I was really into it. I was a big Tenchu fan back in the day, and still am to a lesser extent, even though there haven't really been any Tenchu games as of late. Anyway, that was a whole bunch of PS2 games, and I'm getting a little bit hoarse. And hay is for horses. So hey, I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Mad Panic Gaming. Let's go.
Hey everybody, Jim here. Welcome back for another game hunt here in Japan, and today I was on my way to the neighborhood of Yanokuchi to go to a big heart off they have there, but I realized only a couple of stations away in the neighborhood of Inadazutsumi, which is a little bit of a mouthful, but there's a book off here that looked pretty good on Google Maps, so I thought I might take a little pit stop, a little lunch break, and then get a mini game hunt in before I head to the main course, which is today's heart off. But I'll save that for another video. Today, though, we're going to dig around in a book off here in Inadazutsumi and hopefully come away with some retro gaming gold. So stick around, because that's what's coming up next. All right. Book off in Inadazutsumi. Here we go. Starting off, they had some of these clone consoles for $32.28. I guess it's got a bunch of games inside it, and then it also plays Famicom games. They had two different ones, although I would just skip those altogether if you're going to get some kind of clone console thing. And they had a campaign going on. This was the last day of it. I guess they wanted to buy your Famicom and Super Famicom carts, but we got Captain Tsubasa 2, I believe, at 3,200 yen. Which is actually a little bit high on that. Usually the Captain Tsubasa games are pretty common, so they're usually a little bit cheaper. This pretty cool family boxing, it says, aka Ring King. I think 300 off of 1,600, so that's pretty cheap on that. And we also have Family Stadium 90. There you go, a bunch of these Namco games. You can always spot them because they have a nice clamshell case. 900 on this one. It's Go, I believe, which I do not even know the rules of Go. So, yeah, passed on that one. Here, though, very cool, Super Xevious. And 400 yen off, so 1,400 yen. Because I'm guessing some damage or the manual missing. But there you go. I myself, a bit of a Xevious fan. If it's at an arcade, I'll sit down and play a game there. This missing inserts. So it's only like 700 yen, which is pretty cheap on that. But Crayon Shin-chan, those are some fun games. Easy little games. Got lots of mini games and stuff in it. Very cute. I think meant more for, you know, little kids. One of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms games, I guess. Again, no interest there. And then Itadaki Street. which is a board game type thing. I played one where it was like Dragon Quest themed. 1500 on a complete Yoshi's Island, but there's damage to this, that, and the other. I liked this book off. They didn't have a ton of stuff in it, but they had meticulous notes like written on all of the stickers. If there's like any kind of damage or anything missing, it was all on there. Super Bomberman 4, 2700, and it's complete. But there's some damage to the box itself, and presumably the other stuff inside. That's to be expected. I mean, these games are pretty old now, over 30 years old, pretty much all of them. 2300 though on Samurai Spirits, and that ain't bad. So I set that aside, started building a little stack of games for myself, all of the stuff I was going to take out of here with me. When you got one hand free to look for games and then one hand holding the camera, 700 on this Super Nazo Poyo, missing the manual I believe though. Yeah, usually after I film these, I just either I make a stack of games or I make a mental notes of like all the stuff I want and I just try to remember it. But once I put the camera away, that's when I go and I grab the basket and I start filling it up. Today though, I thought, you know what? Let's not trust Jim's failing memory these days. Let's actually set some stuff aside. Battle Dodgeball, pretty cool. Like 900 yen, you got all the little chibi characters, Gundam and what have you, and Super Donkey Kong 2, aka DK Country 2, a little faded, and again I think missing the manual. Kind of hard to read the handwriting there. Usually they have that little yellow sticker on it, and Super Mario RPG 2900, and I guess that's not so bad these days. It's a really clean looking box and everything, no notes about anything being missing or damaged, so that's okay. And here we have, also for 2900, Mickey's Magical Adventure by Capcom. These Capcom Disney crossover games are always cool. And 2900, but it is boxed and complete, and it's in pretty decent shape. And here, would you like to breed horses? Because they got a game for that. There's an app for that. 1800, it's 300 yen off because of, I'm guessing, damage or a missing manual. But Seiken Densetsu 3. Awesome game, which I think was just re-released recently on like the Switch, so there's, you know, get that. Rockman X, but the box is quite tattered up, and I think some of the stuff inside as well. Yeah, plenty of notes there. There's damage to the cassette, everything else, and it's still 3,000 something. So I passed on that. I don't want to send anybody ratty boxes. And Super Tetris 3 for 1500. So that's like, what, 900 yen? Something like that? Not a bad deal. Or maybe that's closer to 1,000. To double check on that. You might want to do that, Jim. And a copy of Super Mario Collection for 2,500, aka Super Mario All-Stars. Which is a fantastic game. 2,500, I guess that's not bad. $20 for a complete copy of that. I guess I have to always like try to like keep in my head like what does this cost in like other countries? Like I have no idea. Anyway, I got some loose Famicom games here, including Metro Cross. Not sure what that is, but we got some Rockmans here, and they're in good shape. 1,600 for this copy of Rockman 3. A little dirty on the back label, so I wanted to check this other copy. Also very clean. Back label looking real good, and it's also 1,600. So that's going home with me, Mr. Rockman. And we had a couple of copies of Rockman 4, both looking really good shape, 1,600 as well. This one I could see, like there's a little bit of writing back there, like a little label damage. So I'm going to check the other one, which also looks nice and clean. But when I flipped it over, there's even more prominent writing on the back. So I left that one behind in favor of the one with the more discreet writing on it. Because a really clean Rockman 4 for 1,600 yen, about $10. Can't argue with that. And we got some more good stuff here. 480 yen on these copies of Dragon Ball. That ain't bad. That's like $3 or so. US, that is. That's the thing. Like in my head, I've always got kind of like the conversion rate up there in my head. Yen to US dollars. I think right now, 100 yen, it's like 63 cents US. We got some Where's Waldo, aka Wally. I know he's referred to as Wally in other places, but we got Star Fox, 900 yen. Nice clean copy with manual. They actually had a bunch of loose carts in here that had manuals with them, and they're still priced pretty good. This especially, 1410 for Assault Suit Vulcan with manual. That's a really good deal on that. Assault Suit Vulcan is becoming a more uncommon game these days, so I was happy to pick that up. We got Nazo Puyo, some Super Street Fighter 2, clean cart, 900 yen, and manual. So I'm taking that. I mean, $5 for that. Can you really argue with that? We got some more Street Fighter. We got some Dragon Quest, some Tetris. Got some more solid games in there. But what are we looking for? Mostly I'm looking for like action games, platformers, but I want stuff that's in good shape, not dirty, not dingy. Although I can make an exception in the case of Poppin' Twinbee for $7.20. Not too bad on the condition of the card, just some writing on it, but that's just a good deal on that game. And it's a good game overall. $2.70 on Super Butoden, $7.20 on some Bomberman. Not bad, not bad at all. Yu Yu Hakusho Final, but the cart's really dirty and grody. Otherwise, I would have picked it up at $7.20. Yu Yu Hakusho Final, pretty decent. Yu Yu Hakusho one-on-one fighter by Namco, and the original Yu Yu Hakusho here. Also a dirty cart though. It's super cheap, but then I just don't want to send people like faded, grody carts, especially, you know, if I'm not going to open them up and like do open cart surgery on these things. I don't know what the condition is inside. The outside looks nice and clean. I feel like I can trust it. $4.80 on one of the Super Bombermans. Someone's name on it. And $2.70 for this Super Puyo. But wow, kind of a grody looking back there. But what else are we looking at here? And this I thought was okay. Really clean cart, $7.20 for Kirby Superstar. Look how clean that is. That's nice. So that's going home with Jim. That goes on the stack. Building a nice stack here. They call me Jimmy Stacks. I don't have any money, but I do have a bunch of video games. That counts for something. A little glass case here. We got Rockman 2. Then we got Choma Kaimono back there. Turtles, the arcade game. Wai Wai World. A couple of copies of Ninja Ryu Kenden 2, which is very cool. Live Alive, Final Fight 2, Mother 2, Twinbee 3. Even some N64 stuff back there. And a Sega Saturn sitting all by its lonesome with a power cord and what have you. This, you know, like they had some Switches, DS's, other things like that. This kind of cool Zelda GameCube controller. Thought it might be like a Wavebird or something. I wasn't going to look at really like much modern stuff today, just because that's not what I'm dealing with right now. But I spotted a game and I just had to take a look at it. It's the Melty Blood game on the Switch. 19,000 yen. I don't know what the hell is up with this game. If it was released in very limited quantities or something. But that's the most expensive Switch game I've come across thus far. I mean, it's Switch. It's current gen. We're bypassing all this PS4 and whatnot. We got some PS3. Not terribly interested. But if you've got some PS1, you know I'm interested in that. So what do we got? Enemy Zero on the Saturn? No idea. Virtua Fighter Remix. And Virtua Cop for 270 yen. That's like, I don't know, $2 for a copy of Virtua Cop. So I set that aside. I'll be taking that home with me. And then we got some GameCube games here, which I don't get much request for GameCube. I think people who collect GameCube games, maybe they would prefer to just have like their own region, North American or whatever. Some Kinnikuman for $4.80. And there are not a ton of Japan exclusive GameCube games as well. So it seems like, I don't know, there's like less of an interest in those for people who like to collect Japanese games. Here, Kid Station. So I guess this is like a series of games made especially for like small children. I don't know. Came with special controllers. Chrono Trigger, 1100. Which I used to have back in the day. I think in the States it came as part of the, Final Fantasy Anthology or something? And then, alright, some, I guess some board game of some sort. And we got some Shin Nihon Pro Resu. for 270 yen, so I'll take that. Those 3D wrestling games are usually pretty fun. And for $2, it's like, okay. That could be like a nice little bonus sent to someone. We have one Dreamcast game, and then we got a bunch of PS1 stuff. Most of it pretty standard. 270 on this copy of Biohazard. That doesn't look too terribly bad, so I'm going to take that with me. $2 for a Biohazard, I'll take it. We got some Dragon Quest. We've got some, I don't know what the hell it is, but there you go. The Chocobo collection, though, that's pretty cool. A few games in there. It's 900 yen, and it's in really good shape. You get Chocobo Racer, Chocobo Stallion, and I think Dungeon as well. You get all three, so I set that aside. That's a pretty good deal. That's going on the stack. And we got some PS2 stuff here. Including, what is this, Bonanza Bros? So some of the Sega Ages stuff, that's fine. Nightmare Before Christmas by Capcom, pretty cool. 480 yen. I'm just perusing. PS2 is another one I don't get a whole lot of requests for. 480 though, for this Hokuto no Ken Sega Ages 2500. That's pretty good on that. I'm not going to pass on that. Go on there. You get on that stack too. I'm not leaving you behind. Never leave a Fist of the North Star behind. We got some fighting games here. A handful of Kamen Rider fighters, which rhymes, so that's fun. And King of Fighters 11 for 1100 yen. That's okay on that. Dragon Ball Sparking Neo, 270 yen, but it's not Meteor, so pass on that. And then this was awesome. 270 yen for Melty Blood Act Cadenza. So that's a huge get. That's a great fighting game at only 200 yen. That's the deal of the day. And then they had the other Melty Blood at 2,700. That's Actress again. But rather than, tempt fate, I was happy with getting Act Cadenza for such a low price. So I took Act Cadenza, left Actress again, and that's all she wrote. And 3,800 finally on a copy of R-Type Final. And they had a few more things, but I was pretty happy with the stack I'd built up so far. Like I said, this was just the appetizer, so come back next time for the main course. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Mad Panic Gaming.
Hello everybody, Jim here. Welcome back to Mad Panic Gaming and welcome back to another game hunting video. Today we're going to wrap up this little Tachikawa trilogy of videos. As I said in the previous two videos, I go to Tachikawa maybe once a year really to deal with like immigration stuff, but then while I'm there I'll hit the three big game hunting spots. So we already did Book Off. We took a look at Surugaya. Those were great. We got some great games at both. So today we wrap things up with the Hard Off there in Tachikawa. It was about, I would say like a 20-minute walk from the station, about a kilometer and a half, maybe like a little more, maybe closer to 2 kilometers. On a day when it was about, I don't know, like 95 Fahrenheit outside. So I definitely got my steps in, I got some exercise, drank a hell of a lot of water and Pocari Sweat today. But I had a good time doing some game hunting, picked up some really cool games as a matter of fact. This particular Hard Off, not the best stock that I've ever been to, but they did have some cool stuff in there, like some precision strikes with the game pickups today. So you're going to see all of that in the video though, consoles, games, whatever else there was. Then come back at the end of the video, as usual, we're going to take a look at what my best finds of the day were. And before we continue, we're trying to hit 40k subs by the end of the year. I think that's a pretty reachable goal. So if you're watching for the first time, you're enjoying the video, give us a sub. And if you really, really like the video, like more than you like your own mutter, I don't know where I was going with that, give us a like. I'd certainly appreciate it, but I'm rambling at this point, making bad jokes. So let's get right to it. Let's go game hunting.
Just come true. Just do it. Your dreams just come true. Just do it.
All right. Gray skies are gonna clear up. It's a sunny day. All right. Yeah. Got very sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Very warm on this particular day. Filmed this in September. I know it's being published in October, but filmed this in like mid-September. I think the temperature got up to like 36 degrees this day. Anyway, enough of that. We're here a good far walk from the station to the Hard of Off. The place where the off is very hard. Doesn't get much harder than your Hard Off House combination piece. Always nice to see those. That way when I'm done looking for games, if I really want to, I can go look, I don't know, for something for the decor at the old palatial estate here in Tokyo. Getting started with consoles, which, they didn't have a lot. But they had some cool stuff. Old school PS3, which is fun to say now, with its 250 gigs. Wow. We got GameCube 6600. That's pretty cool. We got a bunch of loose PS3s and things. These are pretty cool. 22,000 yen for the Super Famicom. Didn't we call like the Junior back in the day? And some clone consoles and what have you. I can remember a friend of mine in like 1997 asking for a PlayStation for his birthday. And I think his parents mistakenly gave him like a Super Nintendo, like one of those Model 2 Super Nintendos. Or was it in like 98? It was like well after the SNES was not much of a thing anymore. Dreamcast, 11,000 with a 3-month warranty. You can't go wrong with that, which that's worth noting. A lot of these consoles have warranties on them. Even some of the games I bought today came with 10-day warranties. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of places are going to give you a warranty on used goods that are like, I don't know, between 30 and 40 years old on some of this stuff. That's pretty cool. We got some Wii's. I don't know why they cost that much. 3,300 on this one. Okay, I didn't really check the tag to see if it was missing anything. 77 on these Super Famicoms, which for boxed Super Famicoms in good shape and everything, I guess that's about right. It's like 50 bucks. 88 for that one. So yeah, and then a bunch of Wii U's and some Xbox 360s. Which, fair enough. I haven't played on an Xbox 360 in a very long time. But I did enjoy mine back in the day. And we've got some other cool stuff here, some peripherals and various things. Some for the Nintendo. And this, pretty cool, Super Famicom ASCII fight stick. So that's cool, I guess. Like 2,500 yen. It's interesting that it's still boxed. That's nice. We got one of the twin sticks. I guess you're going to play some Virtual On with your Dreamcast. You're going to want that. But they want 6,600 for it. So, nah, I'm good. We got some Guitar Hero stuff, which is interesting because I see Guitar Freaks all the time at the arcade. But I don't see a ton of Guitar Hero games and stuff when I'm out and about. This Soul Edge fight stick for the PS1, and that's marked as 6,600 as well. For no good reason, because who the hell really needs a Soul Edge fight stick for their PS1 these days? But we got some other fight sticks here, which, whatever the hell this one is. Fighting stick, multi, whatever. Some of these look pretty damn sturdy. I myself, I'm not in the, as they say, the FGC. So I don't have much need for really kick-ass fight sticks. And then this TV Mahjong game, Mahjong controller, which comes in handy when you're playing them Mahjong games. And even the Mahjong arcade games have a similar control setup. I myself have no idea how to play Mahjong, but I've seen other people play it, and I've seen them play with those controllers, and I guess they're having a good time. 38.5 for a Game Boy player. And, well, that's the end of the video, folks. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. 38,500 yen, 300 bucks for a damn Game Boy player. Okay, whatevs. Anyway, that's some consoles and things. We'll take a quick break and look at some games.
Japan! 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 Round one! Fight! Fight! Fight!
Alright, enough of that nonsense. Let's take a look at some games. As you can see, this was their primary games aisle. Had quite a lot in it. But first, of course, because why not? Let's take a look in the case, and they had some good stuff in there. Got some Salamander already, some Contra for $5,500 for a box Contra, although the box had some wear and tear on there, as you can see. But we got some Goemon, some Hokuto no Ken, which sucks on the Super Famicom. Sailor Moon back there, Darius Twin for $49.50 after tax. Looks good, hint, hint. We got some stuff here, surprisingly. Some boxed GBA stuff, which actually really needed to find, which was shocking because I usually do not get to find boxed GBA for whatever reason. We got some Ninja Turtles, which is cool. Wizardry for whatever reason. GS Mikami is $11,000. That's a game that's not getting any cheaper. We got some Akumajo Densetsu, Twin B3 back there. Maui Mallard on the Super Famicom. Actually, one of my personal favorites. And it's just over 18,000 yen, like 120 bucks. But that's cool. Astal, Kunio-kun, plenty of Game Boy games, even some Pokemons. Yellow and blue. I myself never got into Pokemon when I was a kid. By the time Pokemon was the it thing, I couldn't have cared less. Metroid, cool. Me and my friends, we were, I mean, how old were we at the time? 12? We were more into like Dragon Ball Z at that time, so Pokemon wasn't impressing us. We had our DBZ cards and things. Getting started with some games proper here, with some Game Boy games, which they didn't have a lot. As you can see here, they have some cool stuff. Yoshi, Mario Land, or the, I think, better Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, which kept me company on a long road trip one year. Again, I think when I was 12, like we drove to Florida to go see like my aunt who I'd never met before, and then my parents wanted to go to Disney, which I did not want to, but whatever. $1,200, $1,320, I think, after tax, or however much. For Fire Pro Wrestling 6-man Scramble. Fire Pro is a favorite for a lot of people, and 6-man Scramble is fun. It's more or less your traditional Fire Pro game, except it's got some cool extra modes, including basically like a Royal Rumble-ish type thing. And you can have, well, as it says, 6-man Scramble. 6-player wrestling. Which doesn't get much more fun than that, does it? We got this limited selection of Saturn games. Again, some of the places I go, you can tell that they've been visited by other people looking for some games. We got Saturn Bomberman, kind of like a greatest hits version. And yeah, usually like stuff like Saturn, Dreamcast, PC Engine, the things that I think are more highly collectible. That's the stuff you'll notice that they don't got a lot of. So that's what happens, man. And of course, it is my fault. I did this to us. We got some 3DO games, including Super Wing Commander. Funny, the game hunting types always pass over the 3DO games. Why no love for the 3DO, you know? Put the Saturn, the PC Engine, the Dreamcast, you know, give that stuff a rest. Discover the magic, the majesty, the ecstasy that is the 3DO. What else do we got here? As far as PC Engine games, not really. There's like a system card, like one game, one of the sampler soft things, and then like Mahjong. And Splatoon, alright. And one Sega Pico game. Thanks, guys. You left a Pico game behind. That was nice of you. Then we got lots and lots of loose Famicom carts here, which I didn't go through like everything. As usual, I try to keep these videos to a reasonable length. And when there's like hundreds up to thousands of loose carts. But we got Downtown Special. We got Gradius, still 1,000 yen. And in fantastic shape, this cart. Surprisingly good shape, as a matter of fact. What else we got? We got Mario 3, we got Yoshi's Cookie, we got Dragon Ball Z, we have Salamander. Which quite possibly, I mean, I know people like their gun knack and stuff, but I'm a Salamander guy when it comes to NES and Famicom shooters. DBZ 3, Yoshi's Cookie, other various things. And what else we got? This I thought was pretty cool. For 2,200 yen, a copy of Adventure Island. Although, good luck knowing that. I mean, you got to read the label. You can't actually see the cover on the box. Actually, if I had another free hand, I could probably just lift up that thing. But anyway, some Adventure Island for you. Damn fine game. And 2,200 for complete copy. I think that's not so bad. And again, if you spot it there on the price tag, a 10-day warranty. They're going to give you a 10-day warranty on a Famicom game. You take that all day. This, just something that grabbed my attention real quick. Strategy guide for the original Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Somebody kind of crammed it in there. I was like a ridiculous fan of the Tenchu series back in the day. Had every game, played the hell out of them, got Grandmaster on every stage, unlocked everything. I was a Tenchu fiend. And then lots of loose Super Famicom cards. When I say lots, I mean lots. 700 there, 500 on Super Puyo Puyo, 500 on Yoshi's Island. So I did dig through quite a few of these, and yeah, they seem to be like right in that sweet spot. Most of them anyway, of being between 1,000 and 500 yen at the low end. So I would say like on the low end, like $3 for a game. At the high end, maybe $8 to $10, which ain't bad on these loose carts. We got some Super Famicoms, and we got your good old-fashioned Super Mario Kart. I gave a stern warning in the last video about those Mario Karts. If you're going to be playing with your big sister, try not to antagonize her too much, especially if there's something within arm's reach that she can swing at you. Kirby Superstar, had a couple of copies of that. 1,000 yen. Some Super Butoden 3 for 300 yen. Just nice. And they're also marked with tax, so this goes up to 330 with Japan's 10% sales tax. So keep that in mind. Also, when I take people around, actually, hey, complete copy of Super Butoden 3. Now that I mention it. Cool cover, by the way. Yeah, sometimes I do take people around on like game hunting tours. And certain places, like I think maybe some Surugayas, some of the places in Akihabara, they'll do tax-free if you're a traveler and you've got your passport with you. Not hard off, as far as I know. 1,200 for Sailor Moon Kondo no Puzzle, something. One of the Sailor Moon puzzle games. Actually find that quite a lot these days. And this game, very interesting. And only 1,000 yen, so very affordable. Super Nazo Puyo, which is a Puyo Puyo game with a bit of like an adventure thing going on. And it has little challenges for you. So instead of just playing like classic, like one-on-one versus Puyo Puyo, it'll give you little objectives to complete. And it's fun. It's if you like Puyo Puyo, it's a different spin on it. And again, 1,000 yen for a complete copy. So that's fine. $7, that's no problem. And then 500 yen on Super Puyo Puyo. So box complete and in great shape, and it'll run you about $3. So yeah, I'm saying if you want to get into collecting some of these games, get some of those games, maybe if you want to save a few dollars. Games that are off the beaten path, you know. Don't go for the obvious collector's pieces. And Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2. Which I think most people, when it comes to Super Butoden games, they would say that this is their favorite. It's pretty good. It's the one with Brawly. That's just what I remember from when I was a kid. That this was the one I really wanted to play. Because you could unlock Brawly. And at the time, I don't think I'd ever even seen the Broly movie. I'd only seen pictures of the character, and I was like... So I was like, I want to play as that guy. Is there a game where you can play as that guy? And then we checked the handy-dandy internet, in like 1997 or 8 or whenever the hell it was, and we're like, oh yeah, there is one. Anyway, more Super Famicom games, including Goemon, some Bomberman, plenty of good stuff. Anyone else have a similar experience? Growing up in the U.S., it was like a dearth of Chrono Trigger. Oh, perfect condition too. Dearth of DBZ stuff. Like, I got on that DBZ train like early. When it first started airing, like 1996 or something. I was already like, yes, this is awesome. I wish there was a game based on this. Alas, there were none. At least not for a long time. Hey, cool. Special golden edition of this game here. Either that or someone was fond of cigars or something. I don't know. Rockman X, 12 Hundy. Little grody on the back. But can't argue with Rockman X. And then 1,000 yen for Aladdin on the Super Famicom. And it's super clean. Really nice clean carts. I like both of the Aladdin games. Genesis and Super Nintendo. They have their charms, both of them. Super Nintendo game, more of a kind of just straightforward platformy type game. Some Parodius Da, 3,000 yen. Which I like the Parodius games, I definitely do. Don't like them as much as I like Gradius, though. I just appreciate the visuals and tone and music of Gradius a bit more, I think. We got more boxed Super Famicom stuff here, including a bit of Super Bomberman, which is always inexpensive, and there's always like a ton of them laying around. We got Panic Bomber, and we got Panel de Pon, which is an awesome game. Which I'm pretty sure everybody is aware. Panel de Pon is just the Japanese name for Tetris Attack. And I guess it was reskinned for North America, so it had Yoshi and maybe some other Mario characters. But it's a great game, whether you're playing just the regular single-player mode, or you're playing like versus against the CPU, or a friend, or an enemy. You could play these games with enemies, I'm assuming. Like, I don't think there's a rule that you have to play with friends. We got some other good stuff here, of course, as with any game hunting video I do. Tetris Battle Gaiden. I think I've said this before. It's like my mission now. Like, every place I go to a game hunt, like, there's got to be a Tetris Battle Gaiden. I should start a collection of Tetris Battle Gaiden copies. Forget the whole, like, general collecting retro games thing, and just get all of the, kind of like Red Letter Media did with their copies of Nuki. I should do that with Tetris Battle Gaiden. A little damage there, but otherwise not too shabby. Gambare Goemon 2. And speaking of, hey, Goemon on the N64. And then they had a ton of loose N64 carts as well. Which N64, kind of the same vein as like the Super Famicom carts. Every once in a while you'd come across one that was like maybe 1,500 yen or 2,000. But the vast majority of these carts were 300 yen on the low end, as you can see there with Bomberman, up to maybe about 1,000 yen. So any of these carts, if you get it loose, it's, I mean, a couple of bucks, $5 at most for a lot of it. And a complete copy of Yoshi's Story for 1,200 yen. Which you can't argue with that. Like, complete N64 games for $10 or less. Kind of hard to argue with that. I bring this up sometimes when I'm doing these videos, but I don't, like, I get the impression from people I know in the US that prices for games in the US is pretty, like, staggering. Like, even when I find something here in one of my videos and I'm like, oh, it's like $20, maybe I'll pass on that, and I get comments and people telling me sometimes, they're like, dude, you passed on that for $20? It's like $70 here. We're looking at some GameCube games, which actually have really good memories with the GameCube. I got one, it was 1 year, wow, Kirby Air Ride. Pretty expensive game. What the hell's going on? But yeah, I can remember that was a good one. Got a GameCube for Christmas. Didn't really want anything, but I felt like, because I had a job and I was just like buying my own stuff. Rogue Squadron, kick ass. But it was one of those things where I was like, I guess, because I was 16, so I had a job. But I was like, I guess I should ask for something. So I asked for a GameCube. Naruto, 500 yen. Anything Naruto is going to be super cheap. Luigi's Mansion, that's cool. Donkey Konga, which, don't ask me. I don't think I've ever played a Donkey Konga game. But anyway, got my GameCube for Christmas with some Smash Brothers. Enjoyed that. the day after Christmas. A buddy of mine came over, and hey, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, family tour here in Japan. One of my favorite golf games ever. It's awesome. It's like right up there with like Hot Shots Golf and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, of course. Yeah, we played some Smash Brothers, and they were like, you know, it'd be really cool if we had a copy of Mario Kart. So I had like 30 bucks. He had 20 something. We put our money together. We went and bought a copy of Mario Kart and spent the rest of the day playing Mario Kart Double Dash. That was it's actually one of my more fond Christmas memories. It was like the day after Christmas. They got all the Biohazards here, by the way. They got 4. They got 0. Remake. Remake is awesome, though. Possibly, like, between, like, 2 and then, like, Remake. Hard to pick a favorite. Samurai Spirits Collection on the Wii. So 6 Samurai Spirits games. But who the hell... I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could tell me down in the comments. Maybe I'm out of line here. But who the hell wants to play Samurai Spirits on a Wii? Why would you even do that? And then we have the Biohazard Chronicles Pack, which I don't know why you'd want to play a Biohazard game on the Wii either. I had gotten my Wii. I remember my first experience with the Wii. I hated it because I had just played through Twilight Princess on the GameCube and really enjoyed it. And then my cousin came over with his Wii, and I tried it out on the Wii, and I was like, this sucks. Anyway, Racing Lagoon by Squaresoft. Interesting game to look at it and maybe just play like an initial race or something. You might think, this is kind of like Initial D or something. But it's a much more story-driven game. Square game, so, you know, they got to throw some sort of RPG-ish stuff in there. So a lot of people describe it as like the RPG racing game. And that's not far off. It's a decent racer. Like, I'd be happy if that was all it was. Hey, look, there's a handsome guy in the game, too. With some Parasite Eve 2, and then whatever the hell you are, lady, and I do not cross tape. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet game. If you've never tried it before, I'd recommend you do. Maybe there's, get an English version. I don't even know if there was an English version. Street Games 97, I think, is too extreme. Which was just not so good because it's like a racing game, and I don't, you know, by that time I'd already Tony Hawk was all you needed. I don't need to race on the skateboard, and it's like you're racing like skateboards against bikes and inline skaters. That's so stupid. Nobody's gonna beat the guy on the bicycle. Don't even try. The Parodius Deluxe Pack, Tkyo. Parodius Deluxe Pack, whatever it is. But it's got a couple of Parodius games in it. And this was kind of like a big find. Because anything that's a shoot 'em up, for starters, and then anything like Konami, even the tiniest bit more obscure is going to be kind of expensive. This one, though, they were letting it go for 3,000 yen, which is just over 20 bucks. So I was like setting that aside as a maybe. We got some other Intelligent Cubes, stuff like that. Clock Tower 2, Chrono Cross, which Clock Tower 2, again, kind of like common knowledge now, was released as just regular Clock Tower in the US. And it's pretty cool. Actually, an early horror game that I played. I remember playing that with my friend. It was a rental, playing stuff like that and like D and the first Resident Evil. You know, I was like 10 years old, 11 years old at the time. So a little bit of nightmare fuel. Space Griffin VF9 looks like Macross. Don't ask me because I don't know. And then we got some other cool stuff here, including another copy of Proteus Deluxe Pack. This one is 1,000 yen less. It's kind of like the greatest hits version, but for 2,000 yen. And I'm like looking at that. I'm looking at this copy here, and I'm like, which one shall it be? I guess you're gonna have to stick around to the end of the video and find out, or you can just click to the end of the video right now. There's really nothing stopping you. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for, 2,500, and that is also a solid deal for, again, another game that's getting less and less common, and it's at least like kind of obscure. It's no Street Fighter or Rival Schools or something. something that sold like hotcakes. Which, speaking of, really need to wrap this up pretty quickly because I'm hungry. And I really could go for a hot cake. Making myself hungry with these damn videos. The Convini, manage your own convenience store virtually. This is driving me crazy. The fine camera work, stickers and sticky stuff. Don't put games back to back when they got sticky stuff all over them. 1500 on one of my favorite fighting games of all time, Justice Gakuen, aka Rival Schools. And then this was the culprit. Copy of Smash Court 3 all jacked up. Thanks a lot, Hard Off. Doing your job for you, man. Tetris there. Whatever the hell. You know what? I am so enthused about this today. Tekken, all right. Can't get enough Tekken. Can you hear the enthusiasm? We got the Samurai Spirits RPG. That's kind of cool. Some more Smash Court, some Dragon Quest games. All the big names, all the heavy hitters. They went PS1 crazy in this place. 500, Puyo Puyo Sun, Biohazard. You want them, we got them. You know what? Maybe I'm in the twilight of this YouTube thing. You know what? I'm going to college. That's all there is to it. I am dropping all this, knocking it off, you know, sitting here commentating over Crash Bandicoot games and whatever this is. Enough of this. I'm going to college. Parappa the Rapper. Ah, damn, I already went to college. I guess that's out. Parappa the Rapper, fun games, weird commercials in Japan. I don't really know what that had to do with Parappa the Rapper, but, you know, there you go. But then Parappa, he becomes kind of like, him and Crash become like the Sony mascots in Japan, and well, the rest is history, isn't it? More Puyo Puyo, more this, more that, more front mission. I wonder what happened to the back mission. And gun gauge. This is actually a interesting find. 6600 on this gun gauge. Obscure, uncommon game. Not something I find very often. Gun gauge, if you've never played it, not a bad game. Like action, run and gun, reticle shooter. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty much just straight up action. So if that's what you like, if you want to shoot a giant spider in the ass, well, this is a game where you can do that. So, you know. Oh, and cool artwork too. Might as well mention that. Good looking stuff. Good looking in-game art and everything. But what else we got? We got Bomberman. We've got Rockman 2. Complete Works. These are always fun to come across. I did at one time have the entire set. All 6 of the 8-bit games got re-released on the PS1, and they had all kinds of little bonus features and stuff. It was really cool. There's the first game down there. But then I think it was all released because I remember buying for my GameCube just a Mega Man collection with some X-Men vs. Street Fighter here. The inferior PS1 version, which who cares now? You can get the Capcom versus Marvel versus whatever collection, and you're good to go. Yeah, and I totally spaced on what I was saying. So whatever I was saying, oh yeah, the Mega Man collection on the GameCube. Pretty sure they just took all of the Complete Works games and just compiled them onto a GameCube disc, which was just fine with me because I was happy to be playing some classic Mega Man again. We got the Fatal Fury collection with 1, 2, Special, and 3. Which, if you got Special, do you need 2? Some Samurai Spirits for you. Can't go wrong there. Plenty of fighting games here. That's nice. I appreciate that. I wish they would just divvy these up by genre like they do in some other places. Some King of Fighters 98. Ultimate Match. I believe all of these, they had some sort of online capabilities. I got a lot of friends that are big into the King of Fighters games. So if you ever down at Tokyo Video Gamers, if there's some people in there, you can probably challenge somebody to a game. And Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex for like 2,500. It's fine. I'm a bigger fan of the PS1 game. You got your Tachikoma, and you shoot stuff in your Tachikoma, And that's all you really need. I wasn't the biggest fan of the PS2 games. Silent Hill 4 The Room, 6600. Not the most popular Silent Hill game. I like it a lot. In fact, to this point, I've never played a Silent Hill game I didn't like. I mean, I liked Downpour. I liked Homecoming. I like all that good stuff. Samurai Western, which is not to be confused with Rising Zan. Samurai Gone, man. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a game. And some Saint Seiya for 800 yen. These games are kind of cool. They're not great fighting games, but as far as like the spectacle of having like all the super moves and cool stuff from the show and like being all flashy and cool, it's got it. It's got it in there. And then Spike publishing State of Emergency Revenge, the second State of Emergency game, which I don't think I actually played. I played the first one. I rented the first one. And yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it sucked. Like, I started playing it. All I wanted to do was just run around and kill people rioting. I kind of lost interest in any of the missions or anything. And then this. This is the North American Hitman Trilogy box set. You got Silent Assassin, Contracts, and Blood Money. And that's just awesome. I don't have a North American PS2, so I'm not going to buy this. But I have Hitman World of Assassination on the PS5, and that's been keeping me occupied. Really like that game. My favorite game in the series, as a matter of fact. And then Blood. It is Blood. Based on the animated series. There is a Blood game on the PS2 based on the animated movie. This one based on the series, and it's an action hack and slasher. Pretty good. Actually, I think I did a review of that game like, I don't know, a long time ago, like 8 years ago. And then this, another big find for only 1,000 yen. Metal Slug 3 on the PS2. Usually about a 3,000 yen game at least. So finding it for 1,000 yen is a big deal for me because this is my favorite Metal Slug game. And the PS2 is a pretty cool way to play it because it has some bonuses and everything. It's a cool version of that game. So yeah, look how excited I am. 1,000 yen, Metal Slug 3. Yeah, I take that every time. Not you though, robots. You stay on the shelf. Get out of here. And then Rockman X7, which sucks. Virtual On. Some other various things. You know, the usual. Boy, I'm really selling it to you. Anyway, that's a bunch of games. But hey, let's get back to the couch and see what I got. So there you go, everybody. That was Hard Off in Tachikawa. Hope you enjoyed that little look around in there. Like I said, they didn't have like the most games I've ever seen out of Hard Off, but they did have some pretty cool stuff in there. I think you would agree. And I did pick up some pretty cool games today. Picked up 13 in total, but I have the 4 here that I think were the best finds of the day. So we're gonna get started with, I picked up that copy of Parodius Da Deluxe Pack on the PS1. And this is not a great game, but a great couple of games. There's, I think, two different Parodius games in here. There's like the original Parodius and Parodius Da, or maybe Sexy Parodius. I'm not exactly sure right now. I'm gonna have to find out when I go to record the gameplay footage for this. But it's got a couple of Parodius games in it. Parodius games are always a lot of fun. They play more or less like Gradius, but they give you a bunch of different wacky characters to choose from. They're really colorful and silly, and they're great. They play great. They always have like great, nice visuals and everything. Really great music as well. Konami from this time period. You can't really complain. So I was happy to pick this up. I think somebody's going to be very pleased to see this show up in their mailbox sometime soon. So yeah, Parodius Da Deluxe Pack. I picked up the Best for Family version. It was 1,000 yen less. Also, as it turned out, the other one, when the PS1 games come in cases like this, these like big chunky cases, they have a manual, but they also have like an insert, like a little like piece of paper that has the cover on it. So this one has that. The other version actually didn't have that. It was 1,000 yen more, and it was missing its like little paper faceplate kind of thing. That's cool. So this game was 2,000 yen. Which is like really inexpensive. Usually like anything Konami on the PS1, or at least if it's a shoot 'em up, because there are other deluxe packs like this one. They're usually pretty damn expensive these days. So for 2,000 yen, I was more than happy to pick that up. Also on the PS1, I ended up picking up that copy of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And if you've never played this, you're missing out. This is one of Capcom's quirkier, more interesting 2D fighters that they've ever released, based on the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga and anime series, obviously. I guess the third series? I'm not very familiar with JoJo. I really only know it through the video games. This is the one with Jotaro Kujo in it. And it's pretty damn cool as a fighting game. It's odd because the characters in JoJo are odd. They're all so unique and they have such bizarre powers and abilities. But that translates pretty well to this game because it's got a decent roster of characters. I think it has like something like, I don't know, 15, 16 playable characters, and they're all fairly unique from one another. They're not like a bunch of clones in this game or something. So each character is worth picking up and trying out because they all have their own like unique strategies and like powers and things. They can call upon their stands for like super combos and things. So that's really cool. And even the PS1 version has like additional mini games and stuff during the single player story mode. So this game is super cool, and it even has some Pocket Station compatibility. That's awesome. Actually, a lot of these Capcom games from around this time, like 98, 99, circa that time, they have Pocket Station, capabilities. They can load up little mini games and stuff onto your Pocket Station. If you had a Pocket Station, that is. I always wanted one. Never had one as a kid because it didn't come out in the US. But yeah, this game is awesome. So yeah. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, PS1 by Capcom. This was 2,500 yen, which is a pretty good deal on it because this is another one on the PS1 and the Dreamcast version as well. They're going up in price. So when I saw this for like in the neighborhood of like $18 or something like that, I was definitely going to pick that up. So JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, great game. I ended up going back to that case because I did spot something in there that the price was right and the condition was right as well. So I picked up this copy of Darius Twin on the Super Famicom. Yeah, this is an awesome game. If you've ever played Darius, you know what it is. You got your little Darius ship there. You can pick up power-ups to give yourself like a stronger laser or missiles, give yourself an energy shield, and then you shoot down a bunch of spaceships that look like big fish and crustaceans, and that's it. It's a lot of fun. Just a great side-scrolling shooter series. And Darius Twin, if I'm not mistaken, was a Super Famicom / SNES exclusive. I think it still is to this day. I don't even know if it's been re-released as part of any collections. But this game, since it was like made specifically for SNES hardware, it runs pretty well, has good graphics, has a good soundtrack as well. Not the most challenging shoot 'em up in the world. In fact, I think compared to its arcade versions, obviously, and the later like Sega Saturn and PS1 games, there aren't as many like enemies on screen and stuff, which is obviously a result of like the limitation of the hardware. So you wouldn't play this before like one of the arcade versions, or maybe like Darius Gaiden on the Saturn or something. But if you got yourself a Super Famicom or an SNES, Darius Twin is a pretty damn good shooter. In fact, I would say definitely within the top. I mean, it's not saying that much, I guess, but like in the top 10, maybe like top 8. Shoot 'em ups on the console. I think I actually put this, I did a best of SNES shooters and I put Darius Twin in there because it is pretty damn good. Gameplay is solid, graphics are good, and the soundtrack is pretty solid too. You can always trust Taito to give you some good stuff. So yeah, Darius Twin complete. They actually let me take a look at it before I bought it, because when it, word to the wise, if you're gonna go to a hard off, you're gonna buy something out of one of those glass cases, ask them if it's okay in advance, if you can like look at it and examine it. Usually they'll let you do it up at the counter by the register. So I took a look at the box and everything inside, the cartridge, the manual, all that. It's all in really good shape. So I was happy enough with that. And the price on this was 4,500 yen, which for a complete, like, very good condition copy of any shoot 'em up on the Super Famicom, that's a good deal. Even has the original price sticker on it. This game originally sold for 8,500 yen. So if you think about it that way, I got it for half off. And also they gave it to me with a 10-day warranty, which is nice. They even printed out the warranty for me. So if I want to bring this back within the next 10 days, which I'm not going to because I already know like there's a person that this is being sent to within the week, I guess. But that's cool. That's another thing to consider. A lot of stuff, the more expensive stuff at a hard off, they'll actually give you warranties for it, despite the fact that this stuff is used and it's, you know, pretty old. I mean, it's not quite as old as I am, but it's old enough. But Darius Twin, got that for a good deal today. And then what I think was like the best deal of the day, on the PS2, I picked up that copy of Metal Slug 3. And this is definitely my favorite Metal Slug game. The original is cool. Metal Slug 2 and X are really good too. And then 3, to me, like they perfected the formula. It's got so much crazy over-the-top stuff. It's got the zombies, and you can ride an elephant that shoots lasers, and you got a giant crab with tanks on it, and you got Martians, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. You end up flying into outer space, going into the Martian ship, and confronting them in their ship. So it's an awesome game. Really great if it's one player or 2 players. This actually has like several different gameplay modes in it. I think there's like there's a single player, there's like arcade or something, there's a training school thing, I don't know. There's a handful of different gameplay modes in here. But yeah, for me, after Metal Slug 3, you get to 4 and 5, and there was a 6th one as well. I mean, they just kept going and going and going. And Metal Slug games are always cool no matter what, but I think like they just got it so perfect with Metal Slug 3. All the stuff after that is like cool too, but for me it never really lives up to this game. So this is an amazing game, whether you're playing it on whatever. I mean, if you're playing it on actual like original Neo Geo hardware, then congratulations, you've got plenty of money in the bank. But if you're playing it on the PS2, if you're playing it on like a Metal Slug collection on another console, if you're playing a ROM, I mean, whatever the case may be, Metal Slug is always awesome. In this case though, this PS2 version is excellent. I didn't have this, I actually had the Xbox version back in the day, whenever that was, like 2007, 2008 or something. So I picked this up today. Amazing game. Again, my favorite Metal Slug game. And then just a game on the PS2 that is not uncommon, but typically when I see it, it's maybe like 3,000 yen or something like that. Picked it up for 1,200 yen today, which with the exchange rate is like awesome. I'll post it here, but that's like what, $8 or something for Metal Slug 3 on PS2. I take that every day, and actually I'm gonna take this out and play it a little bit to test it and maybe like record some footage or something. But then this is going into a package. It is being shipped out to one of the people that is subscribed on my Patreon, signed up for the Patreon packages, which I send out to pretty much wherever. It's kind of difficult to send to like some places, or it takes forever. In particular, if I'm ever shipping to the EU, if you live in the EU, you probably experience this all the time. You have to put like extra codes and stuff on your shipping slips, and they try to charge like additional things, and it takes forever. Anyway, I'm not here to bash on the EU. Those are my pickups, my finds of the day from today's hard off run in Tachikawa. So down in the comments, let me know, what do you think of any of these games? What did you think of any of the games you saw in the video? If you were in my shoes, what would you have picked up today? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from you. I always pop down there to the comments to read and reply to as many as I can get around to. So thanks very much in advance for commenting, liking, subscribing, all that cool stuff. And that's going to do it for today, because if I talk too long, I start to ramble, and nobody likes that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I do hope to see you again on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.